Welcome to Profiles in Eccentricity, a show about weirdos. With your hosts, John Fahey, Aaron Peter, and Matt Brousseau.
Hello, folks. Welcome to Profiles in Eccentricity. It's a show about weirdos, doggone it. My name is John Fahey. I am your host. Yeah, it is John Boy time. I'm the COVID kid. I'm COVID barely 18. Sorry. Whoops. My bad.
Hi.
Joining me as ever, doctors hate this geyser. Hot-bodied cum god. It is Aaron Joseph Pita here once again.
That's right. And right here in this butt plug glass, you may think that this is a high gravity lager.
You can see this if you follow us on YouTube, by the way.
That's right. Which you should be.
Yes.
What else is the internet doing?
You got to watch us.
YouTube. Hi.
Yeah. You got to keep your eye on the ball, and you got to see this butt plug shaped glass that Aaron is drinking a very high alcohol.
It is a high gravity, I suppose, but it's not a lager. It's a Belgian ale. Today's episode is brought to you by Delirium Tremens.
The DTs.
The family brewed and drunk by me.
Yeah.
8.5% alcohol, and that's per volume. And I really like it. I think it was beer of the year back in 2000 something.
Beer of the year.
And you get to drink it out of this fucking butt plug.
That's nice.
Matt, why was your butt plug in the silverware?
Now you're talking to handsome Matt Brousseau.
Hey,
the other host of this program.
This beer tastes like shit.
Yeah, you can't leave it in the dishwasher; it'll warp it.
Oh, Matt, how are you?
I'm doing great, boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're doing great, boys.
No, I pointed out to Matt, and you weren't here for this, but I pointed out to Matt, he's got the fucking, and again, if you see us on YouTube, which we're about to break 1,000 listeners on that motherfucker.
1,000 subscribers.
Subscribers.
Listeners is through the roof.
Oh, forget it. It's disgusting. Everybody's hearing about the pee. But if you subscribe on the YouTube, you can see us all the time. And Matt is rocking what we would call a Hogan stash.
You could say he's ripping.
Yeah.
God,
and he's doing all this writing here on a Brother typewriter. And I was like, I love thinking about you with this Hogan mustache.
Brother.
Oh, brother.
Here we go. Let me tell you something, brother.
Every time it dings, it's like, oh, brother.
And he's watching the incest porn on his computer.
Oh,
brother.
Oh, God. I'm so elated. It's wrong. Oh.
Sis. Brother.
But it's hot.
I'm not cis. I'm non-binary. Please follow us on the Instagram. It's Profiles in Eccentricity if you want to get a gander at these weirdos.
PP Podcast.
PP Podcast on Twitter.
Right.
We just had the lovely JK doing the show about the Disney rides. That was absolutely lovely. Mm-hmm. Aaron just wrapped up the Iceberg Slim, and we took a week off, and now we are back. And Matt, I am told.
I've got a little thing here.
You got something to tell?
Yeah. I'm not going to...
Spin a yawn?
Yeah. I'm going back to Civil War days and before then. Off of the West Coast for now. Now, I'm not going to read the title because I don't want to give the ending away to Aaron just yet. But this most of everything from this comes from this book by Scott Martell, which is really just like did a wonderful job researching just newspaper clippings and interviews.
Okay.
In the early 1800s, most people are not ever known at all by anyone.
Especially, women.
Yes. And men with womanly features.
Are you saying I would not be known?
No.
That's how I like it. I'm off the grid, man.
Yeah.
If I was around, you'd be fucking known. I'm singing your praises all the live long day.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
Hell yeah.
I realized on our website, your bio is just shit I've said about you. Your entire bio is populated by things I've said about you.
Yeah, what do you want me to do, man? I'm not just why you're around.
Yeah, you need to get me a me so I can fucking write a better bio.
Matt?
No.
I don't say
How do I
shit
get you a you? I take all the good shit from you. You find a you, and I'll take it.
And steal that too.
Yeah, and then I'll say, hey, you.
That was something he said about me.
That's right.
If ever a biographer, it's going to be, he's also going to be biographing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it works. Okay, boys, here we go. It begins January 29th, 1832, London, England. A man named Bartholomew Corbett and his wife Elizabeth. Bartholomew is 51 at this point, and nothing is known of Elizabeth.
See?
They have their third and final child. His name is Thomas. According to the Kansas Historical Society, it's Thomas P. According to everybody else, it's Thomas H. Who's to say?
Nobody
Corbett.
knows.
Corbett. Corbett. Thomas Corbett. And nothing is known of him for the first 7 years of his life.
Not a lot going on there.
Pretty exciting time.
Let's be real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Skip.
In 1840, Bartholomew takes his 3 kids aboard the Zenobia, one of these transatlantic freighters.
Hey, I knew somebody named Zenobia. Remember that?
Yeah.
And yeah.
Is she a freighter?
No, but her last name was Del Mar, and I imagine this freighter goes on
To the
Del
Delaware.
Mar.
Oh,
the ocean. In
very
Spanish.
nice. Well, so him and his 3 kids, Bartholomew and his 3 kids, they traveled to America. And Elizabeth is not listed as a passenger. Maybe there's nothing known about what happened to her. Maybe she died and they were like, we got to get the fuck out of here. Or who knows?
She bailed.
Yeah, she was like, not today.
Beth bailed.
I don't like oceans.
Beth bailed on Bart.
And now he's about 60 or something now.
Yeah, so he's about 59 now.
Oh boy.
59, 60. And they settled in 5 Points, near the 5 Point slum.
Oh, boy.
Oh,
And,
from the gangs of New York
Yes.
type of stuff.
But later,
Exactly right, Aaron.
he moves him to 4th Avenue. And Bartholomew was a naturalist and a hoarder. And
What is a naturalist, man?
so what he would do is the naturalism, the science of this was something that was emerging at this time. And it was scientists, and usually amateur scientists, studying nature, birds, movement. And so
Animal droppings, probably.
right, Audubon would come out of something like this.
Not the Audubon.
John
J.
Okay.
The Audubon Society.
Got it.
Birds.
he'd come out of, he was maybe the most famous, of course. But
I was like high-speed automobiles?
yeah,
The great song
Naturally.
the song by Kraftwerk. Bon 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 on the Audubon.
Bon, bon, bon on the Autobahn.
now his name was never in any magazines about this, so he was not successful. He liked to hoard science books, and he probably made his money just like framing animals that hunters had killed for them. So he'd be like, okay, you killed a grouse, I'll put it on a board for you.
Nice.
As you do.
A grouse.
So sometime in his teenage years, Thomas, he gets a job as an apprentice, and he trains as a finisher of silk hats.
Huh.
And so silk hats were something that were popular in New York and Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So like a little bit like
Philadelphia.
yeah, Philadelphia, New York.
Fucking
Were like
ass beat. Still cat fancy lad.
So he was a haberdasher's apprentice?
yes.
Nice.
And so around this time, hat making business started to grow because it started to specialize. And so places with more furs, they had a better market. John, I think their phone's ringing.
And we're back.
Oh man. I was
Isn't that good?
I was gonna get a beer.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you can.
Grab one. Grab one for me, too. John boy.
God.
What do you read?
Dude, why are you a biter?
You're biter?
Yeah, you're biting my style.
I'm a Cenobiter. I'm a human centipede.
Cinnabon.
Yeah, I'm a Cinnabon. I've sinned. What is that? Who is that? I've sinned.
Oh.
One of like the 80s fucking preachers that was caught like with a fucking prostitute or something.
Like Haggerty? Oh.
Baker?
Baker.
I think it was Baker.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've sinned. Yeah, and is he's all forgiven and shit.
Of course.
Yeah, that's what God does.
So we're talking about Tommy Corbett?
We're talking about Thomas Corbett, but we were talking about hats.
Hats.
Yeah, silk hats.
Silk hats.
Silk hats.
Which you wear to bed.
No. I'm talking about like
Oh, pimpy shit.
a top hat.
A silk top hat.
Brimmed hat.
Yeah, or a bowler. Or
Some fancy lad shit.
Oh yeah. So as you see this a little bit in the Sam Patch episode, but as these businesses started to grow, they started to get a little more specialized. So originally hats were made usually by just like farmers in winter because they needed work. And so they needed income, and so they would either make shoes or hats or something.
Yeah.
What you're telling me is that the hat industry experienced a singularity where it spun off into so many different. I mean, it changed the game. Nobody could have ever foreseen the various types of bowlers, fedoras, top hats,
Nobody.
pillbox hat. I mean,
Pub caps.
Nobody. I mean, baseball
Yeah.
hats.
Yeah. Backwards hats.
Oh, hey, whoa.
Nice.
On the side. 90s rap.
Berets.
Yeah, sure. But so the hat would they would press animal hair into felt. Originally camel hair was widely used for things like hats, or even just general fur, and they found that the camel piss would make it easier to get the fur to stick together.
Camel piss has a lot of uses. We talked about that, I think, in part 2 of the...
Well, it's pure water. On account of the humps.
so they take all the fur and they put it in like a bag with piss and they press it and they pound it, and then the fur it links together because of the process with the piss, and so you can have longer sheets of felt.
Yeah.
And then
The first guy playing around with that was a bit of a strange fella.
Guys, guess what happened?
I put the fur in the piss and it's great now.
I was trying to make a smoothie, but...
Oh, boy.
according to Kurt Vanderbroek, chemist, he says that he believes that one guy who is taking mercury to cure what is like venereal disease. A lot of these hat makers or people who worked with furs, they would
Get mercury
they would
poisoning.
piss their own piss into the batch instead. You don't have camel piss, use your own piss. And this guy's fur stuck better, and so everybody figured, it might be the mercury he's taking. So then they started using mercury to make better felt.
And that's why you get the Mad as a Hatter.
No fucking way.
Yes, the Mad Hatter, Mad as
Wow.
you get all fucked up and shit.
So anyway, so New York, so hat makers certain cities had certain type of hats. New York and Philadelphia were where the silk hats were.
But they all smell like piss, though.
Yeah. And the wool hats were like out in like places like Boston, Danbury, Connecticut was the Mad as a Hatter disease was originally known as the Danbury Shakes because they had so many hatters in Danbury.
Cool.
No
That
way.
great band.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
And then what would happen is, as they were pressing the hat, they would later.
Your cousin Danbury.
Well, listen to this.
I mean, it would put you off wearing hats, wouldn't it? If all the guys that
You
made them
gotta
were
wear
out
hats,
of their
dude.
mind.
It's always cold and
you,
shit.
You buy it from guys who aren't making them.
Yeah.
So you don't see those.
The dealer.
You gotta you go retail.
It's like the guy that makes the acid. Oh, you don't want to talk to him.
No.
Buy it from me.
You got to get a people person.
So when they were finishing with the hats, what they would do is they would heat, and they would use hot water and heat to finish the press around the
that's
block.
life.
And what that would do, it would cause the mercury in the
And the piss
fur
fumes.
to mist, and so the finishers tended to have serious problems.
Fuck.
And so that's what Thomas Corbett is apprenticing in.
Mercury piss huffing.
Yes, basically. And so he's good enough that he becomes like a guy is hired as a professional. He works in all these different shops, and that's about it for a bit. And then in the 1850s, he meets this woman named Susan Rebecca, no last name known,
Hot.
and she's 13 years older than him.
Oh, that's fucking nice.
Yeah, I mean he's 5 years old. She's
That sound
18.
mean. What?
That was me.
That wasn't you? What are you thinking about?
It was me.
What are you thinking about, the heavy hangers or what?
Well, I mean,
Taters?
yeah,
Toilet?
and the pee vapors.
Nice. And the mercury.
The mercury.
You can't piss on a planet without there being
The
repercussions.
mercury vapors are my favorite WNBA team.
Oh god! I mean, yeah, you've advanced a bit too much. You're like, I got fucking liquid metal, and then here's the
also
camel piss, and I'm trying to make hats.
Yeah, that's some real alchemy stuff too, right? P
Yeah.
and mercury. What can I make out of this? Hats.
Yeah.
Great.
Insanity.
So he's around his 20s now, and he meets this woman, Susan Rebecca.
So she's in her 30s.
Yeah.
Nice.
And they get married, and he keeps making hats. And by 1854, he moves to Troy, New York, and then next year he gets his citizenship. So he's an American citizen.
Hey.
And they move to Richmond, Virginia, where he can't find any work because he's vehemently opposed to slavery. And it's hard to get a job in a slave town when
There's
You're
free
not
labor.
into that.
Yeah. Yeah. They're like, we won't pay this man who hates free labor. Also, he doesn't seem to dislike black people. It seems to be an issue.
And does he have
They
a...
must have been like, man, he's huffing all that piss mercury. He
And-
doesn't
and-
like slaves. He's crazy.
Yeah.
What
pretty much.
age was he when he came to the States?
He would have been about 8.
And does he have a bit of an accent? Sort of...
It's never mentioned.
Yeah, he does.
That's just all this unpaid labor. Unbecoming.
Well, maybe he's got a cockney, you know.
He's not walking around
Oh,
talking
don't
like
You go give him a fucking shilling, don't ya?
The problem is you're not huffing enough piss.
You haven't seen a word way I have. You're silly.
You haven't lived unless you've huffed a pint of piss with 15 millimeter mercury.
You people are stupid.
Daft. Are you daft?
Laughing at you. So he's not popular in Richmond. He's not down with slavery, and he's trying to start a business. And he's got this old hot wife.
Presumably. Also,
Heavy hangers.
he's not a big man. He's about 5'4",
He's a wee lad.
and he has what people would then called womanly features.
Nice.
Yeah.
And now what?
Soft face.
Oh, I like that a lot.
Now, what would be womanly features, Matt?
A soft face.
Dictators.
No. He just
Dick sucking lip.
yeah. He didn't have Rock Hudson's face. You know.
Now that's funny because he had dick sucking.
You know, it's funny. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. The more manly features you have, the more you love a dick and straight up the ass.
Yeah.
You know, it's what are you talking about?
Marlon Brando.
Brando.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, good God Almighty. Charlton Heston from my cold dead. You know,
Pry this cock from my cold
I
dead
like
butthole.
my bussy.
my.
So he's not finding any work in Richmond, and so him and Sarah Rebecca decided to move back to New York in August of '56. He's 22 now or so. They take a boat back to New York City, and on the boat she gets sick, and before the boat even arrives, she dies.
No.
Just throw her overboard or what?
No. The only reason we know that she's dead is because when she came off, they recorded her death, and then she was buried. That's the only reason that anybody.
R.I.P.
Yeah. And so, by all accounts, from everybody who knew him back then, Corbett then began binge drinking all day, every day,
Really?
just nonstop. And
That's sad.
Plus the hat making.
yeah, it's a hell of a way to get through a day.
Shit.
Is it piss or is it beer? What's going on with this guy?
Is there a difference?
And so, eventually, while he's doing this, this group of evangelical Christians take him in and keep him there until he sobers up. And this seems to be his first ever time he's ever been involved with religion in any way. And from this moment on, it consumes him for the rest of his life.
Oh, replace one addiction with another.
Yeah,
yes?
he never drinks again, and he just starts working with these evangelicals and preaching. And as we talked about in the Woodhull episode, this is right after the Second Great Awakening, which ends in 1840. And, from there, we get Adventism and Mormonism and spiritualism, and check Victoria Woodhull to see more of that covered. So you combine this evangelical nature, this
With
awakening
hats.
with hats, with the Industrial Revolution and all these farmers coming to cities, and then there's this constant swirl in the cities of abolitionists and religious folks being against slavery, and there's a lot of arguing back and forth. And this led to people doing things called what they were called noontime prayers. So like at noon for lunch, you would leave work and go to church, and someone would preach to you, and then you'd
Right.
go back to work.
You have a bit of a prayer lunch.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. And then this is where the city street preachers start really amassing. There's much more street preaching during
Really?
this time. Yeah. Not just the guy on the street corner.
Right.
No amps back then. 1858, Corbett, now he's making hats. He's street preaching. So during the day, he makes the hats. During the rest of the day, he street preaches. He moves to Boston to work with the Methodist Episcopal Church, and he starts proselytizing about avoiding drink and sin. And for sin, that can sometimes mean fucking.
Oh, no.
And Corbett, he has trouble. He's apparently, he can't stop trying to fuck.
Really?
And, in the Bible.
But he's preaching against it.
Yes.
Well, that's a good way to work through your demons.
Don't do it. I'm dying.
Yeah. He's living the struggle.
I think it's called projecting.
And so he's reading the book of Matthew, chapter 18, 19, the book of Matthew. Book of Matthew, the first book of the New Testament, kind of links the old and the new.
That's right.
And Jesus in 18 and 19, he is telling his followers to be humble.
Jesus in 1819. Jesus.
What do you wait?
In chapters 18 and 19 of the book of Matthew. He's telling his followers, be humble like children in order to get into heaven. You need to be disciplined and care for your community. And as a parable, he says things like, if you have a foot that causes you to stumble and not be humble and therefore go into hell, then it's better to cut that foot off and go into heaven with one foot than to let one foot drag you down. And if you divorce your wife and you marry another, it's committing adultery, and that's sinning. So instead of sinning, Jesus says some people, they make themselves a eunuch. And what the annotated Bible says is this is basically saying they're bachelors.
Yeah.
Now Corbett reads that and he goes,
I'm going to cut my dick off.
that's it.
You're shitting me.
So he takes a pair of scissors.
Oh my God.
No.
He didn't want to sin anymore. He read that part.
No.
So on July 16th, 1858, he takes a pair of scissors, he cuts open the bottom of his ball sack, he pulls his balls out, and he cuts them off.
Now, did he put goat balls in there?
No, he didn't. No, that wasn't an idea at the time. And then after he does that, he goes to a prayer meeting.
Good Christ.
Just straight up?
Uh-huh.
He doesn't bleed out, gets gangrene?
No, he goes to a prayer meeting. He goes for a long walk, eats a large dinner, and then his sack by then was black and swollen and clotted, and a doctor was called for. The doctor cleans his wound, ties everything up, sends him to the Mass General Hospital, where they hold him for a few days, and then they release him, and it worked. The system worked.
Yeah, so he really did the right way. He just cut his balls off.
Yeah.
He did not cut off his cock.
Right.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Because it's much easier to pee and stuff like that.
Yeah,
if you have a prick.
Yeah, and he never felt these urges ever again, as you can imagine.
Oh God. And I'm sure you're gonna get to it, but when you cut your balls off, all sorts of shit changes happen.
Oh, interesting.
Well, I bet the womanly features really increased quite a bit. I'm up for all sorts of things now.
How old is he?
So this is 58, so I think
He's in his 20s?
that would have made him 26.
Oh, God.
What a fucking catastrophe.
I mean, this is the peak. These are peak years.
Well, that's why it was so hard for him.
Oh, because he was really jonesing hard.
Yeah.
And on top of the mercury and
That
horse
is so
drinking.
fucking bad, dude.
I mean, this is some really fucked up news for me. That's wild, man. And just to pull him out. I mean, do you think he got drunk in order to do it?
No, he wasn't drinking then.
But yeah, I mean,
No, you can't.
He was believing.
dude, it hurts so bad.
He was believing in God. There's no pain.
No. He was, he was on the best drug.
High on life, as Idris Elba says in his music career.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Well, high on life from Idris Elba as a musician is like, well, you're high on life as Idris Elba.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
you'd be
pretty
high on
sweet.
life as Idris Elba if you're a fucking taxi driver.
It's a bit fucking different than high on
A
life.
nutless 5'4" Brit. I'll tell you, I'm high on life, I is.
High on life.
Shit.
You gotta hear it. It's amazing. It's like you're high on life as a fucking megastar, you psycho.
You're Black Superman.
So it works though, and he feels like he just went through
Thank God that's over.
a journey, and it's
It's a spiritual experience.
he's an apostle in a way.
Sure.
And so following the tradition of apostles, he changes his name to the city of his transformation, and for the rest of his life, he'd be known as Boston Corbett.
Really?
And
All right, well.
feeling like Jesus, he grows what little beard he could grow out.
Oh,
He
yeah.
grows his hair long. He has
Nice.
this big ponytail in the style of Jesus. Now his
So according to who, but sure.
but now he's described as his features are described as mild and not womanly.
Ah.
No, they weren't described as not womanly. They were just described as mild instead of womanly.
Yeah.
Now.
Like,
Yes.
like salsa.
Yeah. Impotent.
Milk toast.
They were mild. Yeah.
Milk toast is a good one.
It's so funny when he had those big raging balls that his features are so womanly, and as soon as he gets rid of them, they're mild.
Well, the facial hair helped. I'll show you a picture
Well,
of
you
him.
puff up when you cut your balls off. You puff up a little bit.
Here's
that true?
Here's a
Yeah.
photo of him.
How the fuck do you know that?
Listen, dude, I know all sorts of shit.
Unfucking believable. Oh, Aaron's thinking about whether he would or not.
Oh, he's got that cool fucking part down the middle shit.
Yeah, that's very cool. So what are you seeing there, Aaron?
Speak.
I'm seeing a guy. He's wearing a. Well, can I read the caption?
Sure.
Boston Corbett of the 16th New York Cavalry, 1865. Now I'm seeing a guy. He's by a very ornate chair.
Yeah.
He's leaning on it. Perhaps he has sciatica or something, or maybe he cut off his balls a little lopsided because he's leaning on it. He's got the hat in his hand. I don't know if he made it, but you've got the looks like a. And he's got some trousers on with they look like they've got a nice stripe down the seam there.
Yeah, let's keep those on.
And he's got
I don't want to see that mess.
he's got a
Tile
jacket.
underneath.
He's got a jacket.
Yeah, I mean, that's a Union
He's wearing a union
cavalry uniform.
Union Army.
Oh, it's union made.
Yeah. Here,
It's
let
like
me-
this, and he's got the part down the middle, and he's
Right.
got a little mustache, almost like and a little goat here.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, show you could take a look. I guess it's pictures.
Yeah, well, it's my show. I don't mind if I do.
Well, don't look at the words.
Oh, that's hot. Yeah, no, just the pictures for me. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice.
It's small man, but
I mean, look at the chair. It's fucking.
I mean, if you saw this guy otherwise, without knowing what I know, you'd be like,
Right.
all right, it's just another fucking Civil War era
yeah,
dude.
he just seems like a regular dude.
Sure, fella. I don't think he's too womanly in the features.
No,
he
the
seems fine.
facial hair helps, but it does look like it got a little puffier in the face, more in the cheek areas.
So why does that happen?
Your hormones change. Yeah. Like if you become a castrato, as they say, earlier in life, your voice will not change. So they would do this. They would do this to.
Sup, y'all?
Yeah, you'd be like a 45-year-old man, and you'd sing like this.
What are you bitches up to?
Oh, yeah.
Go to the deli.
Imagine his sermons change too.
Yeah.
Siemens.
Yes.
I mean, well, he still has a prostate.
So he's 5'4". He's giving a lot of fiery sermons
On the street.
on the street and sometimes in the church too. It was always like, what they would do is, someone would go up and give a sermon, and then anybody else who wanted to could then go up. And
Yeah.
if he ever heard anything that sparked something, he would go up. But otherwise, he was always very agreeable and decent to hang out with. And
It was mild.
yeah,
It's just a bit, don't you think, as you read this, don't you think that there's a bit of an inherent crime in altering God's creation?
Oh, you mean
How does-
a crime against God?
well,
Yeah, how does he not come to that?
well, he said God in a vision told him to do it. But reading that Matthew 19.
I mean, the Jews circumcise kids.
Well, yeah.
That's straight. I mean, what more altering of
It's
God's...
not just them. You know that, right?
Listen, man, I'm cut. You should be too, Matt.
No, I am.
Nope.
Matt's not.
I know you are.
You've seen it.
Yeah,
You love it.
I didn't know you knew I saw it.
Did you see it?
Yeah, you were asleep on the couch.
In a dream?
I mean, sometimes life is a dream.
Well,
You were dreaming.
Be a dream.
You were
you're high
dreaming.
on
I was raging.
But you were dreaming.
I was a raging Cajun.
You were raging
I
after
was down with the gator.
after I got done with it. You were raging.
I'm different.
But when Jesus says some men make themselves a eunuch, you can take it as what the annotated Bible believes the original meaning is.
Sure.
Or you can say, oh, Some men make themselves a eunuch.
Yes.
I think he was saying some men make themselves. You, Nick.
Yes.
For instance, you, Nick. You're a
Self-made.
pussy.
You've got no balls.
No, I think maybe obviously the beginning of the mischaracterization of Christ starts with the original disciples.
But like Jesus, the parable, he's talking about, if your foot is dragging you into heaven, cut your foot off, and you can go into heaven with one foot.
Yeah, let's get this shit done.
I mean, even then, Jesus is saying,
Cut the fucking thing off.
Get out of here. If it's hobbling you, let's go.
the thing that is causing you to sin, cut it out. And so he did.
All right, fair.
These big old balls were dragging him down to hell.
Balls.
So he moves back to New York, and he's in 59, and he's finishing hats, and he's saving souls, and he even works with this guy that I'll do a Patreon, a mini profile about, this man named Awful Orville Gardner, who is also a preacher.
Subscribe to Patreon, $5 a month, extra episode a week.
I mean, what are you doing?
And he was constantly broke because during the night he would just go around town, and he'd find someone like passed out drunk, and they'd bring him back to his place, let the guy sober up, feed him, and then give him some money and send him on his way. Huh. And
definitely not fuck him.
No,
never.
And his boss, he was constantly like bouncing between jobs because he would quit a job if the boss wasn't Christian, didn't act Christian enough.
Yeah.
If they were selling used hats as new hats, he would quit. If people swore, he would stop what he was doing and get on his knees and pray for them. And so it was like, we can't have this guy just...
I think he was probably a lot cooler when he was drinking, huh?
So he would work long enough to make money to preach, and then he would find some other place that, made more sense.
Jesus Christ.
But he did find this one guy, James Brown, who was a religious man. Yeah. And
he's the godfather of soul.
yeah,
True.
And they had an understanding, so he worked for him for a long time. And Brown said, he would ask, why would he do these? Why would he bring these guys in and spend money on them and just take these guys off the street? And he said this is a quote from Brown. And all the answer I could get from him was that he was, quote, doing the Lord's work. I don't think there was ever another person born just like him, but he was a good man, for all his faults were of the head, not of the heart.
Yeah.
I think so.
Hatter shit.
Yeah, it's going to
Straight up. Yeah, you're fucked. You're trying your best, but you've made too many hats.
Yeah, yeah.
You're fucked.
Yeah, it's not just a metaphor.
Yeah, you can't play with camel piss and fucking mercury and all that bullshit. Hey, throw on a mask. Life hack. Wear a mask.
Yes, please. Wear
For
a
the love of
mask.
Christ.
Please wear a mask.
It takes 2 seconds. You're fine.
Put it over your nose.
It's
Put it
a
over
hat
your
for
nose.
your face.
Yes. Yeah.
And just,
That's the thing, man. These hat guys. What the fuck? Top hat. Who the fuck came up with that shit?
I don't know, someone with a short hat. It was like, I bet I could make a ton of money if it's tall.
For real, though. What do you do? What are you putting that on for?
Because it looks cool.
Yeah,
Also,
I mean,
it's the rain. Everybody. JFK was the first president who didn't wear hats.
Look taller?
I mean, he had a real nice head of hair.
Yeah, but JFK ruined the hat game, especially after Truman, haberdasher.
Yeah, Truman was a haberdasher. He was a good guy.
Yeah, he was.
He wasn't a
you
mad
heard it
hatter.
here first.
I mean, listen, man.
I'm gonna drop a fucking atomic bomb on Japan. I didn't inhale any mercury. I'm fine.
Our first mercury. Well, he wouldn't be our first mercury-laden president. That'd be George Washington, because that's how he died.
Mm-hmm. With slave teeth in his mouth.
I just want to slap a
hat on it.
Slap a hat on it. I think the hat thing is bizarre.
Yes.
I know that,
But people were wearing poor people were wearing 3-piece suits to work. It was just very stupid, and that was what people did. And also, they didn't have umbrellas, and it was cold
In
up
England,
there.
they still don't have sunglasses.
Well, the minute
there's no sunglasses in the whole place.
It's either raining or
now?
Yeah, every time there's a soccer game, they're always putting their hands over their eyes.
Listen, man, back then, it's either raining or super sunny.
It's true.
That's very good, yeah.
It was always like, where did this come from? I thought it was supposed to rain today.
Yeah. I thought we were supposed to have carbon monoxide raging through the streets like we always did. They got fucked, dude. At the height of an empire, dude.
So
that
England?
city...
London?
London.
Oh, you mean like when it was
Foggy London town.
It's really smoggy London town.
It's just straight smog.
Yeah, it was bad. It was really bad back then.
Go listen to our episode about that. Dirty London.
Good Christ, man.
Yeah, watch Peaky Blinders and shit.
Yeah.
I mean, people. Did we talk about like people fucking in the streets and stuff?
We did. I mean,
Was that us?
Familiar.
we talked
I
about
mean, like you couldn't see like 15 feet in front of you, and it was like even if it, like sundown in these little shit streets where it's gravel and horse shit,
yeah.
and soot everywhere. People were fucking in the streets, and like you could.
Yeah.
If you wanted to fuck somebody, you could go like 10 feet away into a corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, you used to have little boys drag you through the fog in order to figure out where you're going.
And then yeah, because it rises,
Yeah.
And then people would be amazed that fucking like Jack the Ripper could like take out a liver and stuff.
Yeah,
It's like, you can't see around a court. You can't see shit.
Yeah, he was going for the pancreas.
And also he was crazy from all the poison in the air.
That's right.
So anyway, Corbett, around this time, this is 59, and he's late 20s, and he starts working with this woman named Phoebe Palmer.
Rip 'em, Jack.
And Phoebe Palmer has this idea of Christian perfection, and the idea is to live a life without sin every second of the day. And so
Now,
Corbett, that's his
I gotta
idea.
interrupt here again.
Yes.
I'm sorry,
No.
but isn't I'm sure that this is the Christian situation here. Is Christ died on the cross for
far as we know.
the sins of humanity, right?
Yes.
He's the Lamb of God, as it were, right? Your sins are placed, all of humanity's sins are placed upon him, and he is the sacrifice, and we are absolved through his death.
Uh-huh.
So don't you want to get your dead Messiah's worth?
Facts.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, do you want Jesus to have died for nothing?
No, I think that's almost built in to the premise, isn't it?
Yeah, you are.
He died for your sins, including the ones you're going to do.
Because you are incapable of living a life without sin.
Yes.
There's original sin. There's a reason babies are baptized.
Yeah.
Because even before they're born,
Yeah.
they have sinned. Because this cocksucker Adam and his slut wife Eve.
The original sin thing is a bit hard to swallow.
Oh, it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
But you being a petty, petulant, silly child as a young person, obviously bound to sin, I think is a little more swallowable. But saying like before you do anything as a newborn, you're already fucked. It's just so dumb.
Yeah, it's very stupid. But this whole let's live a life without, it's impossible. Read it. Did you not read the book?
Yeah.
It's impossible to live. You can't.
Yeah,
the only person who was able to was Christ.
But also Christ was the one that was lifting up the prostitute and being like, this is a good woman.
Right, and it's also debatable if she really was, but yes.
But it was him going like...
It was likely that it was his wife. And he loved her more than all the apostles, and gave her secret teachings that he did not give any of the apostles.
Whoa, secret teaching.
And that is
one-on-one sessions.
The Dead Sea Scroll.
I believe that is not
positions.
even in the Dead Sea Scrolls. I think that is straight up in the Gospels.
Really?
Yeah, Dead Sea Scrolls. That the Gospel of St. Thomas, and a couple other ones. But the Gospel of St. Thomas was the big one. But there is a Gospel of Mary, I think, in the Dead Sea Scrolls, perhaps.
Mary Magdalene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
that was the thing. That was part of what is the perceived Marxism of Christ, was that he was elevating a woman to and giving her a seat at the table with men. And the only time Christ is ever really dogmatically violent is when he's
money
attacking
changers.
the banks.
Yeah, and the fig tree.
Yeah, he's it's the only time where like he's.
Have you seen the God Hates Figs people?
Oh God, that's
it's
great.
really funny.
That's nice. That's nice. So it's like, to me, it was always him being like throwing in with the lepers and being like, these are fucking human beings. Can you just fucking be nice?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, please.
Anyways, it's impossible to live a life like Christ because you're not him. So why try? Get your fucking money's worth.
And also, in my opinion, Christ never expected you to live a like him, because he didn't even think he was special.
Yeah, he could barely do it.
Yeah, he didn't even finish it.
Yeah.
Let's take a Quibi.
Hey,
Quibi?
rest in peace.
Yeah,
All right, P. Quibi. We'll be right back.
I'm gonna name my kid Quibi.
And we're back. Now, Boston Corbett.
Uh-huh.
Ballless.
Holy roller.
Yes. And trying to be perfect. No sin. So then, so that happens. He does that in 59, Phoebe Palmer. And then 1860, usually is a pretty quiet year in most places. But then the South attacked the North.
Oh, good Christ.
And there's war.
Now, is that Lexington and Concord?
No.
Isn't that where the first shots were fired?
Of the Revolutionary War.
Oh, right.
Nice.
I thought you were joking at first. I
Nah,
mean,
well, listen, man, you get a couple of Tsingtaos in you.
Well, we are here live from Chineseville.
What, Appomattox? No, that's another one.
Fort Sumter.
That's right.
And Fort Sumter is South Carolina?
Fuck, I can't remember. North Carolina? That's South Carolina, yeah.
I believe it's South Carolina.
Good job.
Thanks, man. It's like the little tiniest bit I know about the Civil War thing. I think I did a good bit of the Burns Civil War, but not all of it.
The points.
First episode will give you a pretty good breakdown of what goes on there.
I skipped to the second. That's why I didn't know.
How did it start?
Who knows? Who's in between?
What I did was I watched Revolutionary War Episode 1 and then Civil War Episode 2.
I watched Revolutionary Road. Boring.
Now, is Jim Brown related to James Brown?
One's a football player. He was in Mars Attacks.
And that's the volume.
Act. Mars Attacks, guys. Hello.
They're great. They're great.
Now that's the first. They shot the first shot.
That's
Mars,
true.
yeah.
Mars Attacks.
Is John Brown related to Jim Brown? Is related to James Brown?
Sheriff John Brown.
Yeah.
Or the Reverend John
So
Brown.
the 12th Regiment in New York calls, they had formed, there's like an informal regiment. They called everybody to form up to join.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Yo, we gotta get together. These fucking hicks.
These hicks are no motherfucking
Yo,
joke.
these fucking hillbillies are fucking us up, bro. It's all fucked up down there.
Hey, Boston.
They ain't got a fucking pot to piss in, bro. And they're fucking
They can't
savages.
make a fucking hat because they have no piss.
They got guys working down there for no money. It's dumb.
Yo, we
It's
can beat them with a fucking ballless hat maker.
Fucking no motherfuckers down there, no industry, nothing. Yo, they're dumb as fuck, yo. And they're racist. And they're racist, too.
Ain't that fucked up?
Ain't that some shit? Ain't that some motherfucking shit, man?
Yo,
Ain't that some shit, Matty B?
That's probably how it
Racism
happened.
is wicked fucking queer,
yo,
yo.
that's fuck. Yo, it's gay as a. Instantly shakes his head.
He's like, no.
We haven't tackled homophobia yet. This is the 1800s.
Yes, man, we're in Boston in the 1860s.
Yo,
we can do it.
Yo, we're mad fucking progressive, bro. We're against racism.
We're
but
only-
homophobia, that-
No, you're not against racism. You're against slavery.
Sure. Yeah.
Free market enterprise.
That's what
but
I
racism
said.
is dope,
Yeah.
especially with the Chinese.
It's the 1860s.
Racism is cool, but slavery, bro, there are limits.
New York in
Whack.
a nutshell in the 1860s. You just heard it.
Bro.
So
Fuck,
anyway,
I'll hate my cousin if he's Protestant, bro. I don't give a fuck.
so the 12th Regiment calls everybody, calls for everybody to form together. Corbett's boss, James Brown, is part of it. James Brown is like, I own a business. I'm pretty old. I probably shouldn't be a part of that. And he
We're
says,
living in America.
He says, Corbett, Boston Corbett, why don't you, do you want to do it? And Corbett's like, yeah, I'm opposed to slavery. Probably likes a good adventure. He says, I'll do it. So he takes his boss's place.
The guy with no balls has the most balls.
Yeah. He's 29. In April 19th, 1861, he signs up. He's promoted from private to corporal, maybe?
He can't be a private.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. It's basically they just form up. His job is to help drill and care for the men. Yes, thank you, Aaron. And the regiment had 10 companies with over 100 soldiers per company. I think it came into something like 1,200 people. They board a ship and they sail south. And it's this whole event of them going to get to the ship, and the crowds, they can't even get through the crowds, and people are still trying to sign up as they're going, and it's just this whole mess. And then they get on the ship, and it turns out almost none of them had ever ridden a ship before.
Oh, but he has when he was 8.
Yeah. He knows the perilous trouble of riding ships. Because
how long is this journey?
well, they're riding it down to DC or so.
It's not even that fucking
No, it's
far
not.
at all.
It's not that far. But
like a 6-hour fucking trip.
all things considered, considering how far it was pretty perilous. So, let's see.
Yo, I'm about to get fucking seasick, bro. This is nasty.
One soldier fell overboard, another wounded himself with his own sidearm. A third was sliced open by a bayonet when the seas rolled and threw someone else into him.
Oh!
They all survived, but then
Three Stooges.
a fourth soldier died from sunstroke by the time they arrived.
No. Yeah. This is why they wear hats, John.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, I got sun. Listen, bros, I don't even have balls, and I'm not dying of sunstroke.
Yo,
dude.
it's mad cloudy in Bronx, bro. It's fucked up. Where are we? We in the fucking tropics? No, we're in DC. Yeah, it's fucked up. That's the deep south, right?
That's fucked up.
So
Colombia, it's fucking mad tropical.
That's pretty good.
You guys have Coke?
It was pretty marshy, so so they get to DC and they as they're there and they're like going through and they're going to the countryside on their way to Virginia.
Museums.
And they hole up in a church in DC before they head out, and Lincoln shows up and Lincoln shakes everybody's hand.
Even the eunuch?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And did they talk about hats?
Oh man, you know what?
Well, it's fine hats,
it's
sir.
It's never mentioned if they did.
Really?
But yeah, wow, you got a tall hat.
It's nice.
I'm an insane person.
What is that? Silk?
Felt 4 or 5 inches.
Mr. President? Is that silk?
I do it.
You stovepipe motherfucker.
That is might I add, that is a fine looking hat you all wearing.
Well, he's from Illinois, right?
Springfield.
Yes.
So he's just fucking crazy. These Southerners, they got to fucking stick up their fucking ass. These fucking motherfuckers. Jesus
I grew up in
fucking
a
crazy.
fucking log cabin, learning to wrestle.
And they're like,
For
bro, I
4
know
7 years,
they got no jobs, and the jobs they got down there, they don't fucking pay, bro.
Now, fucked up, Mr. Lincoln, Mr. President.
Don't you understand that, Mr. Lincoln?
The schooner's fueled up with coal, ready to go.
7 years ago.
This guy's fucking getting heat stroke. This guy's got no fucking balls. My hat's 15 fucking feet tall. Jesus fucking Christ. Who do I have to fuck around here to get? Hopefully a man. I
got Stonewall Jackson on my fucking ass. I got Robert E. Lee fucking keeping me out of my own fucking apartment. I can't fucking get into my own fucking. I got a fucking hideout in fucking Chicago.
Mary Todd Lincoln's fucking speaking of ghosts. Jesus fucking Christ. I gotta go to the theater just to get a fucking minute alone. Somebody fucking shoot me.
Put me out of my own fucking misery. I swear to Christ.
My fucking hat off. Give you a clear view.
You want to see through my eyes? You better blow my fucking brains out.
So eventually the army leaves DC and they make their way down to, they're on their way to near Bull Run, Manassas area. As they go down, Corbett is like all the other.
Now, where's Bull Run, Manassas? Go.
It's like south of DC. I think it's a big,
North Virginia.
Yeah. Maryland area.
Swamp!
Yeah. And that was the first battle would be the Bull Run.
The first battle.
Yes.
Of the Civil War.
Yeah. All the fancy people in DC, they went out there thinking it was a picnic.
You're kidding
and then they were running back with the soldiers.
No way.
Yes.
Run for your life. It's not a show.
It turns out they're not.
We'll reenact it later. But right now it's real.
The losers will reenact it later. All the time. But now you gotta get the loaves of bread and the wine and get the fuck out of here.
What you got to imagine in your mind is if there was a porno tape where the guy couldn't come, and we reenact it over and over again. That's what we're doing for centuries afterward. We'll meet back here in a decade.
So
This Confederacy will last.
The South will rise again? I don't think. I mean, we couldn't do it the first time, so it's not again. The South will rise.
they
The
needed
Big
slaves.
Bang Theory will be on TV for longer than the Confederacy will exist. Fear not, brothers and sisters.
So in his troop, Corbett gets a reputation pretty quickly as being peculiar.
Oh.
He would, he would have normal conversations, but then he would pepper them with things like, hey, telling people to abstain from sin and observe the Sabbath.
Murder, though. Go ahead and kill people.
Yeah, do it.
They're as they're going south, they stop. Him and a couple guys stop over at this farmhouse to get some water, and the dad seems sympathetic to the Southern cause. So Corbett pulls out his gun and he tells the dad and his sons to drink the water before they take it. And just everybody's like, that's a little much.
Wait, what? Yeah, explain.
So there's nobody bringing water and food with the troops.
Now,
They
Corbett
just-
says, you drink this water before I steal. Well,
Yeah.
you drink this fucking water, bro, before I steal it.
Yeah, exactly.
And what magic happens there?
But just to make sure it's not.
It's not poison.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
so stealing, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
But also, don't poison me.
Yeah.
yeah. So,
I got no balls, but I got brains.
yeah.
Dummy.
And none of you motherfuckers sin while I steal your shit, all right?
Well, he was probably ordered to go find water, So
Right.
But his commander, the commander of the whole regiment, is a guy named Butterfield, who's kind of a hard ass. And at one point, as they're heading south, some woman accuses some soldiers of stealing from her. So Butterfield calls everybody together, and in the middle of at some point in his speech, he yells, "I will have no damned thieves in this regiment." And after he says that, Corbett steps up and he shouts, "I call the colonel to order for swearing." Now Butterfield doesn't hear it, but Corbett's leader, is whatever part of it, his leader hears it, and he has him arrested and put in jail in a garrison for insubordination.
But the reason he did this was so that he would be absolved of sinning if he was ordered to do it?
No, the reason
he was mad about the swearing.
He was mad about the swearing.
And so
he stepped out of line.
Yes.
Got it.
Chain of command.
I thought he was saying, I misunderstood what you said then. I'm sorry.
Oh, good. And so he gets thrown in jail in a garrison, and he goes on a hunger strike immediately.
What a fucking pain in the non-balls.
A
pain in the absence of balls.
Everybody, like the commanders were like, this guy was a constant annoyance. He goes on a hunger strike, and they release him 2 days later, and they're like, fuck it.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
Yeah. What are you going to do, not eat?
Yeah.
What's next? You're not going to fuck? Asshole.
So there wasn't anything about him being part of the. I don't think his regiment was part of Bull Run, but they're sent to Harper's Ferry, where John Brown basically started the Civil War,
That's right.
Yeah.
and they're sent to hold
Great
Harper's Ferry.
show, series on, I think it's on Netflix or Showtime.
Showtime,
Showtime. With,
It's a good profile.
The guys,
Ethan Hawke.
Someday, yeah.
and the two boys from Blind Spotting. David
Yes.
Diggs and
Yeah.
Rafael Casal.
Yes.
And so it's really just bad management, because Harper's Ferry is kind of in a little bit of it's tucked in between some hills, and so the Union commander has everybody like hang out at Harper's Ferry, and then the fucking Southerners just stand on the hills and shoot at him, and it's just kind of it's just a bad idea. And so, but while they're there, Butterfield tells everybody that they have to stay 2 more weeks, and they're not going to get any more pay for that. And
That's slavery.
So one night on picket duty, Corbett he leaves. He just walks off. He gets court-martialed for that. They fine him 2 months' salary, which is tough because he was only in for 3 months. And
2 months salary with no pay.
Yeah. Yeah. And
It cost me money to fight this fucking war.
pretty much. And there's a rumor that he was supposed to be shot for abandoning his post, and Lincoln commuted it, but there's no proof of that.
He
But
made me
anyway,
a fine hat.
he returns to New York with 1 month's salary. which is $13. That's about $335 today.
Jesus.
Even then.
And then the unit was disbanded, and then they reformed again, and then they are immediately sent back to Harper's Ferry, and this time he's on the Sabbath, and he's given picket duty again, and he finds the other guys who are on the picket duty with him are out picking blackberries, so he pulls a gun on them.
It's because they're working.
No, because they're picking blackberries instead of on picket duty.
What is picket duty?
Picket duty is just like walking the line, basically. I think I meant to look it up, but I forgot. I think it's just
Border Patrol.
Border Patrol.
Okay.
Yeah. And
these guys are getting these delicious berries.
They're eating blackberries. Meanwhile, he's walking around with a fucking big ass Bible, and he's like, "You guys better get back." And they say no, so he pulls a gun on him and says, "You guys better get back.
the fuck back, you son of a bitch! I got no balls, but I got bullets, baby."
What are you gonna do? Cut my balls off?
And it was said that he would pray before shooting. Before he would shoot, he would say, "God have mercy on your souls," and then he would fire a shot.
Like Barry Pepper in Saving Private Ryan.
That's tough.
So September of that year, was it 60? I think it's still 60. The Confederates, they surround Harper's Ferry and they rout the Union out of Harper's Ferry. Again, he goes back to New York City. And then 10 months later, he again joins back with the 12th. They guard a train station for a bit, then they're sent back to New York because all the white people are massacring, rioting, and massacring black people.
The gangs in New York ending is
the draft riot of New York, where especially poor white people thought they were upset at black people for one, competing for jobs, and two, they felt that it's because of them that there was a war. 2,000 people were injured.
And it at least shows in the movie that they also go uptown and start fucking up rich people.
Yeah.
But
they did go after rich people.
Their main thing is it's always who you can find.
Yeah, they do.
And it's,
who's around?
And it still is with the Republican Party. You go like attack the immigrant, attack the union guy, the mega rich you never see.
Yeah.
And they are the ones that are causing you to have a horrible thing. And but at least in that time, there is in Manhattan, these people have addresses.
That's right.
You can go to Fifth Avenue and be like,
or Gotham.
Yes,
sure. But first
Gotham is
they attack.
They killed the black people.
The least privileged people.
They killed 11 black people.
The one who's getting fucked more than them.
Yeah. Including
this is your fault.
They killed a 7-year-old too, just like really.
Oof. I mean.
Yeah, look yourself in the mirror. Like, dude, come on, dude.
Listen, man.
You love killing kids, huh?
I love killing kids
on stage.
Nice. There it is. Yeah.
I love killing kids. I love kids who kill.
The inflection change, very nice.
I mean, killing. How do you kill a kid?
No, I don't think we should get into that. It's a Patreon episode.
Oh, how to kill a kid?
That's not a Patreon to sign up for. Let's not do that.
Oh, right.
But
that's on fucking Gab or 4chan
It's
episode.
$5 a month. We won't do that.
It's an absolute nightmare, and they are incredibly, horribly misguided, and it's just a thing of people punching down, and they know they're punching down. They know. I mean, they would have to know.
All it takes is like an extra. I mean, just some people are just not capable of one extra hopscotch level of forethought. And if you have one extra hopscotch level of forethought, you realize, man, I could get all these fucking poor black people on my side, and then we double our numbers against these fucking rich motherfuckers making us fight each other.
Yeah.
Wake the fuck up.
Yeah.
They're getting fucked worse than you. And to think that it's their fault this is all fucking happening, it's like kicking the dog when you find your wife's cheating on you.
Yeah. The South started the fucking war.
You and the dog could go maul the guy who's fucking your wife.
However, when we see what's happening politically right now, and we see how people are manipulated into thinking that things happen for these reasons.
Fucking conspiracy. QAnon is Republican stance now.
Imagine before the internet. Where you could fact check everything, and you get off a boat from Ireland, and some fucking swanky, Tammany Hall politician tells you like, oh yeah, the reason that your shit sucks is because of the the recently first-time paid former slaves.
Yeah.
And you can buy it and be like, oh, yeah, well, that must be the way it is. This guy told me.
It was much easier to be brainwashed.
Far easier. And especially if you're, straight off the boat immigrants. And you're
Irish.
And you're having a flock effect and,
Yeah.
And plus you have a donkey brain because you're, a dumb Nick.
And you're malnourished, etc. Sure.
Yeah, no, it's easy to manipulate people, especially when it was a much more tribal New York.
The gangs of New York.
Not as integrated at all.
Yeah, no, I mean, yes, but it's in a
And the success of New York is integration. The success of the city is based on integration, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
yeah.
Matt, continue, please.
So, not long after
Integration now, integration tomorrow, and integration, was it forever?
Forever.
Yeah.
not long after the draft riot, the 12th is again sent home and disbanded. Corbett then hops on with the 16th New York Cavalry, which is cool. You get a horse, and they're immediately sent south into heavy fighting. They go to Northern Virginia, and basically they're doing these stop and go chasing fights with Mosby's Rangers, which is this guerrilla cavalry unit. This Mosby's Rangers was this guy General Mosby would have always very small groups, and they would use guerrilla tactics. And he always had one cannon, and so they would just drag the one cannon, put it on top of a hill somewhere, and shoot, and then move, and so it was always fight. Skirmish, run, fight, skirmish, run.
And these were things that presumably they learned from the Native Americans when they were fighting.
Yeah. And then the Americans used against the British, too.
In the Revolutionary War, of course.
Oh, and the illusion of more people than you have.
Sure, but, it's...
keeping them moving and stuff.
I love that shit.
That was a big thing in the Civil War.
And not wearing red coats.
Yeah. But
shouldn't wear any coats in the summer.
Illusion of more people than you have based on geography and people moving and doing things from other shit and making it seem like it's a doomed enterprise.
Theatricality and deception are powerful tools against the uninitiated.
But I think what you're saying is very smart. I think it was learned from the tribe.
At least in the United States, it was. Yes.
Well, I mean, it's even.
But then they use it against the British and each other later.
Yeah, well, they thought
that's
it was
amazing.
Yes.
Even if it's not about the illusion of more people, it's just
effective.
It's good tactics.
It's efficient
because you're not fucking walking in the middle of a field. I mean, Pickett's charge was a terrible idea. And, there were better options, but they decided to charge over a mile across.
Yeah, these Brits didn't read The Art of War. They were fighting this. I know what we're talking about.
Yeah,
not Brits, but
no, yeah. It was just dumb shit.
Yeah.
So. He's part of this cavalry group that's fighting with Mosby's Rangers, and they keep Mosby's one time they're sleeping, and then Mosby's people come and attack them while they just run through them while they're sleeping, and it was just it wasn't ideal.
Well, what do they do? Just tuck them in or something?
Yeah. But anyway, so during all this time, Corbett again is being a hard ass, and it's not recorded why, but for some reason he's bumped down from corporal to private. So after 3 years in the army, he's now back to where he started.
Nice.
Even before where he started, because he was almost immediately promoted when he joined. And then July 23rd, 1864, a 4-man scouting party of the 16th of his regiment is routed by 10 Confederates on patrol. Two of the guys from Corbett's regiments escape back to the camp. 2 of them are captured. And so Corbett's commander sends out a group to go get those captured guys back. And Corbett's part of this group. And they ride all night trying to find these guys. And about 11 a.m. the next morning, they're just worn out. They find this farm. Everybody gets off their horses. They all walk around climbing trees to get the cherries off the trees. And they're just eating stuff. And so, of course... Sorry.
There was some message up top, but I didn't see what it was.
And so all this is happening. The Mosby's Rangers go, oh yeah, these guys are fucking idiots. They all got off their horses and walked around a farm. They charge through there and raid these guys. Everybody splits and runs. Corbett manages to run into the woods where he tucks himself into a hole and just fires at everybody who comes near him. And he's able to fight everybody off for hours and hours and hours until one of the Confederate commanders, not Mosby, or one of the guys underneath him, basically rides his horse up to the hole he's in and puts his gun to Corbett's head and he's about to shoot him, and another commander comes out and goes, "No, don't shoot that man. He's just fighting for his life. He has a right to fight for his life."
What?
And so instead of killing him, they arrest him, and they make him a prisoner.
Must have been those mild features.
Yeah, ooh, he's womanly.
Plus, he's got no balls.
We can fuck him. It's not gay.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's technically a big clit, fellas. He's ready. He's ready.
Fellas, he's ready.
I want to see 2 guns in his.
It's a guy going like, "It's okay. He's fighting for his life." These black dudes.
Yeah, I mean,
What are they doing?
Yeah, of course.
The fucking shit is so fucking. It's seriously just he's white. Don't kill him.
Yeah,
That's what's going on.
I mean, when I read it the first time, it was obvious. It was like gun to his head. Of course. That's
Yes.
Well, I mean, they killed the other white soldiers too, but I think this was one of those you take a prisoner in this situation because he's not on the attack in this moment. He is
defending himself.
He is just defending himself in this moment. I
think there's a lot of.
I mean, they killed the other people. Like that, they were white too.
The campaigns though are hearts and minds, and if you go down there and you are a white person and you already think you are above
everyone was white.
Well, no, in life people, Aaron, are not all white.
No, but like most of these people in these regiments, brother against brother.
Sure,
wasn't brother against brother.
No, but what I'm saying is that the doubt they can sow in you of being like, I went to war with the Southerner and I was treated well. Now you're kind of like a little bit more sympathetic to them, and I think that was maybe part of their plan because they knew that they only had.
But both sides always do that. Both sides of everything do that.
Sure, but I'm just saying I think that's part of the reason for the mercy.
Yes, I don't think it had anything to do with him being white.
What?
Everyone was white.
Not everybody was white. What are you talking about?
All these regiments that fighting each other.
There was black.
There's many stories of black regiments surrendering.
And they were going to get fucked.
Surrendering, and then they're all killed.
Yes. But they also attacked. They killed all the other people in his shit.
I mean, I know what you're saying because he's alone. He was routed. He's in a hole. He's shooting everybody off. I understand what you're saying about that.
But a lot of their strategy must have been like, eventually, what we needed is the North to take mercy on us because they do have 3/4 of the population. They do have the most money. They have the most industry.
Yes.
They have all that shit. So it's straight up hearts and minds.
Which
every fucking like terrorist, thing is about hearts and minds.
Right.
And I think that is why it happens.
Yes, I agree.
Yes, there's something to that. So anyway, he's arrested, he's taken prisoner, and he's sent to a place called Andersonville Prison. And Andersonville Prison is probably the worst single place in the entire war to be.
Oof.
It was built, it was an open air facility built originally on 16 acres for 10,000 men, and it almost immediately had 12,000 men. So it was expanded to 26 acres for 36,000 men. And they had so many men in there, per man, there was 34 square feet. There was so many men just shoved together, and no one was given any sort of tents or covering. They all had to find their own. There was no one was given hats even.
Oh my God.
Everybody had
in violation of some sort of convention.
Everybody had to basically make their own shelter. And the best thing they were fed was molasses and beans.
Oh, that's good.
That's pretty good.
Well, it's good because everybody's teeth was bleeding. All their gums were bleeding nonstop, and beans were the only thing they could really eat.
Oh, they all had gingivitis?
It's the protein.
It was so bad that there was a group of men called the Andersonville Raiders, which was basically a group of prisoners that formed their own gang and were killing people in order to take their stuff.
Their molasses and beans?
Yeah, and then they were executed.
Jesus Christ.
They were white.
They were put on trial by the Confederates, found guilty, and then given back to the prisoners to hang.
Oh,
no
that's
shit.
Pretty cool, man.
And then they escaped to Oakland.
Yeah, fuck them.
We have pirates in
Yeah,
here.
dude, Raiders suck. Their fans are worse.
And so Corbett arrives on the day of these guys are being hanged, and not long after that he like bumps into 9 other guys from his regiment who were also prisoners, and within 2 months 6 of those guys were dead.
Out of
And-
how many?
Out of 9
Jesus.
within 2 months,
How they die?
and this was you'll see.
Oh, okay.
This is Corbett's description
teeth
of
bled to
the. This is Corbett's description of the conditions. The swamp, which runs off each side of the small stream that runs through the stockade, was so offensive, and the stench from it so great that I remember the first time I went down there, I wondered that every man in the place did not die from the effects. It was a living mass of putrefaction and filth. There were maggots there a foot deep or more.
Maggots a foot deep?
Anytime we turned over soil, we could see the maggots in a living mass. Prisoners dug through the maggots. This is from Scott Martell. Prisoners dug through the maggots to find pieces of root that could be dried, then burned to cook what little food could be foraged or bought from bribable guards. The camp food itself was often filled with wriggled worms. Corbett says, "I've taken that food to the stream and washed the maggots from it." The sick, this is from Martell, the sick with open maggot-infested sores were driven off the swampy area to die on their own. The sickest of the men were carried each morning to the deadline where doctors inspected them, and the worst off moved to a wood frame hospital a few hundred feet from the stockade. So there's this thing called the deadline. So surrounding the camp was a wall where the Confederate guards would be, and I don't know, something like 10, 15 feet inside of the wall was an undrawn line that if anybody walked over would be shot dead.
The gun line.
They would be shot dead.
We ain't got no fences here, Camp 8. What we got is the gun line. The gun line runs from shack to shack. If you so much as trip and fall over the gun line, you will be shot.
Mm-hmm.
Stick your pecker over the gun line,
You
will be shot. That's from Life. That's
And so it was.
Your gun line sounds like a smart man.
And so even sometimes if someone just reached an arm into it, they would be shot.
He will be shot.
Yeah. Yes.
I can't believe.
If you so much as
Trip and fall over the gun line,
if you
That's a
fought
shooting.
over the gun line,
you
or
will be shot.
if you dangle one of your maggots from your food over the gun
Yeah.
line, the maggot.
Well, he was called the deadline, and I have to imagine that is where the word comes from.
They must have got it from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, my spine is the baseline.
That's true, and that's facts, and that's science. Now, so the deadline is in
In the Andersonville prison.
Andersonville prison, which is where?
The swamp.
Decatur.
No.
Good
Decatur,
question.
Georgia? Dude, you think that's where I got a name?
it was
Decaturville.
Decatur.
I believe it was like south of Richmond, if I have that right.
Okay,
I
okay.
don't remember. I believe it was in Virginia.
And so it is a Confederate
Confederate prison.
makeshift prison, and makeshift by your own means. You have to
Make shit.
Yeah.
You have to create your own shelter, etc.
Yes. It was near Richmond.
It's a place
where people
men
go.
with guns keep people.
Yes.
There are no fences. There are no roofs.
Mm-hmm.
It's Coachella.
Yeah.
Yeah, with no bands.
I'd love you to escape.
Yeah, try it.
Go for it.
I mean, it was so the, prisoners. There's all these stories of prisoners digging tunnels. So every day or so, the guards would have slaves poke giant sticks or metal rods into the earth around the prison to see if they could find a
Fuck.
And there were like many prisoners who died when the tunnel collapsed. There's a lot of stories of prisoners who dug and then
A slave stabbed him.
no, they took a wrong turn and they basically came out in the exact same place they started. This is just like,
Are you shitting me?
no, seriously.
What is it, dumbest people of all time?
No, but I don't know. How do you,
God,
there's no compass.
Well, you don't do a circle.
How do you know what
It's
a circle
dark.
is when you're under the ground?
You go straight ahead.
What is straight?
You have no idea.
I have no idea.
You don't know-
have no idea.
You don't know what straight is.
Out.
Out of what?
Out of the fucking prison, you psycho.
If you're just digging, you don't know. There's no fucking
There's no sense of
sunlight.
direction.
I'm not barren left
Dude,
over and over again.
Can you get to the bathroom when the power's out?
I want to be back with. Yes. Have Aaron.
There are walls.
Aaron.
There are walls. I know you can because
Straight ahead.
everywhere is the bathroom for you.
Straight ahead is the
Yeah,
direction.
you just find my mouth and then you use the bathroom.
Are you really telling me that that's a sensible outcome?
sensible?
Yes,
Nothing
John.
is sensible about the situation. Period.
Situation?
There's a situation.
Szechuanation?
That's one chicken. There's nothing
Aaron,
sensible about it.
Straight ahead.
What? Here's the thing.
Straight fucking head.
You've been eating maggots and dirt for a week.
Everybody watching on YouTube is agreeing with me.
No, but nobody's
no.
doing 999 people on YouTube. You know what's
The
up.
desert,
Who's your daddy?
the forest. You can
desert?
you can get lost in both of those because it's impossible to tell
A
which
straight line is
How do you know you're going straight?
it always
because
feels,
you're not turning around and
No.
going back to the prison.
How do you know when you're turning when you are underground? You might be digging and slightly digging more on your left than your right. Maybe you don't know. You might be. You fucking.
Do you really believe what you're saying right now?
Absolutely,
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
I know what I'm saying to be
Absolutely.
fact. I'm not fucking
You
around.
know what you're saying to be fact.
Yes. If you're driving your car,
Aaron,
listen to what I'm saying.
of all directions you can go, straight back to where you started is the least likely ever.
no,
No, actually, it's not.
Actually happened,
It's
John.
as likely.
It actually happened.
It's as likely as any of the other directions. It's equally as likely. Given enough time.
I know what a prick you are.
I'm not kidding.
No, you are a massive prick
Yeah,
for
I
people
know it.
fucking up.
You're right.
And if this happened, you would be fucking apoplectic about it.
But I'm not
we were
malnourished. I'm not. This is not 1860. I'm not malnourished, beaten, starving, dehydrated, and probably kind of retarded.
Okay. Can you admit that at least where the hole starts?
I'm not on a diet. I'm
where
on
the
a
hole-
diet of maggots.
Where the hole starts is your only source of light.
No.
And all you have to do is
here's the
go
thing.
straight ahead of
Here's the
there.
thing. They're
Straight
not-
ahead of there.
he's not-
The minute you start
No,
turning, the light leaves.
John, this isn't like
no,
some
no.
giant field you can work in.
This, and it's also not. I'm going. Oh wow, there's a tunnel here that I already dug. I mean, imagine you're in your car, right? And you know when you take your hand off the wheel and the wheel just slightly is 1 degree off,
Uh-huh.
and you start fucking going.
Yeah.
Now imagine if it's 3 degrees off.
Uh-huh.
Now imagine you're underground and there's no light and you're 5 degrees off. Eventually, when you dig, you're gonna get back to where you're going, or very close to.
Yeah.
Like you can very easily get turned around without any sort of sense of direction.
Right.
Underground, and you'll end up not coming out of the hole you dug, but 10 feet away.
Yeah.
Or 100 feet away. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not. Oh, I dug. You're not like literally coming out the same hole, but you end up in the same prison.
So
camp.
in the dark, without a guide,
Without-
you automatically will go straight back to where you started.
No,
Both of you are
no.
fucking retarded.
No.
What are you
no,
saying?
we're not saying that. We're not
No.
saying.
You're both exactly saying that.
No, we're not
No,
saying
there
you're
wasn't
going to
a-
automatically end up where you started.
It wasn't a common occurrence, but it did happen.
It's not unreasonable.
You can
Yeah,
get turned.
in the vast litany
Yeah.
of tunnels that would be dug.
It is
Maybe
not.
one
Litany?
litany.
It is not unreasonable for people to get turned around, and once you get turned around, you don't know which way is straight anymore.
All you got to do is
That's
Go straight.
no.
That's all you got to do.
Go clear.
Straight.
Out of the prison.
You know what? I'm mad.
There's
I gotta
shades.
pee. I gotta pee.
There's shades to it. Well, let's take
We'll
a
be
little
right back.
break.
We'll be right
after that.
And we're back.
If you're just joining us, we just had to explain to John about tunneling.
Yeah, how they all go straight back to the source. I understand. You're both dumb.
Oh boy, I can't wait to see you fucking.
And so
prison
anyway,
camp.
there would be the
Can't wait to see you in a prison.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Andersonville.
yes. Very terrible place. It didn't take long. So Corbett was not able to fashion a place to sleep. And so he would generally sleep between two tents that other people. So Andersonville, like all these people basically made their own kind of neighborhoods and their own like groups. And there were kind of streets. They were about like 3-4 feet wide, you know.
Mostly paved with maggots and shit.
Yeah. But in Corbett, you know, he never slept in a tent or under anything really. The only shade he ever got was when the tent that he was sleeping next to would give off shade. And so he basically took like some piece of cloth or something and stretched it over himself, you know, between these two tents, and
Kind of like a hat.
yeah, basically. And he immediately
If only I still had my foreskin.
he was immediately sick, dysentery, and
He was dysentery?
yeah,
What did Terry have to say about it?
and his feet and legs were swelling. And
Oh, God.
one time, this guy sees him just laying on the ground, and he yells to him. He says, "Well, you old bag of bones, you still living?" So
I'm not dead yet.
I should have supposed you would have died a month ago. I swear, some men have more lives than a cat. And
Christ's love lives through me. Plus, I got no balls.
but he does join up with he's crazy religious, right? And he does join up, and he preaches, and these, as you can imagine, pretty large crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the whole thing's a crowd.
Yeah.
Big appetite for hope.
Yeah.
But he was so religious that so there would be groups that they might have dug in the ground and found a spring, and so if you like wanted water, you'd have to go over to like where this group was and be like, "Hey, can I have some water?" And some groups would tell him to fuck off because he was like too religious and they didn't like him. Some groups would let him have some water, or whatnot. And he was constantly sick, diarrhea, scurvy. One guy said his whole system was diseased.
Jesus.
Haggard, emaciated, and there was very little water to drink until this one time. And he said this was Providence. This insane thunderstorm hits the camp, and it just bears down on the camp for days. And at one point, someone says it was a lightning strike. Someone says it wasn't. But this giant flood of water breaks through one of the walls and diverts, because there's so much water rush, diverts the maggot stream in another direction and digs out this hole where a new fresh stream of water is born.
And behold, lightning hath struck the maggots, releasing the torrent of God's sweet deluge. And woe, the maggots did repent. And yea, the prisoners did relish and quench thine
And
thirst.
the centipedes retreated into the log.
And the Cenobites were pissed, for there was no pain to be felt, and the trilobites and the gigabytes did
remain friends.
correct. And whoa, we did dig the tunnel through to only remain where we hath started, and no, we will not retarded.
Now, but even through all of this, Corbett was described by one of the other prisoners as having wonderful composure. He would forget his own troubles and try to help other people get over theirs. He was described as a, quote, "He was constantly moving around like an angel of mercy, forgetful of his own sorrows and trying to assuage the griefs and woes of his fellow mortals."
He even forgot his balls back at home.
Yeah.
Never mind my no ball bullshit. You got problems. Let's help you out.
Well, he says to one of the prisoners, he said, I tell you, Comrade Thatcher, the Lord has given me his sacred promise that I shall never die in prison."
Oh,
And
Nice.
So,
spoiler. He died in prison.
The guy holds the shiv and goes, "You got to get me one of those."
My body was a prison, and I cut my balls off.
And so, he also says the Lord told him that he should be liberated from prison. At one point, some prisoners are brought outside of the camp to do some work, or there's something outside of the prison camp, and he takes this opportunity and he runs off as far as a completely debilitated
emaciated, dysentery lady.
Yeah. And
Rich.
And he's he's a small man, so he finds a hole and he hides in it like a rabbit. I think Martel describes it as. And the guards can't find him, and so eventually they bring the dogs out.
No.
But he's got no balls.
Yeah, but the dogs do find him. They eventually, like one of them even hits him with his nose.
God damn it.
But they were so well, like Corbett was like ready to, if they came after him, Corbett was ready to like jump into him and fight him off. But they were so well trained, they just like ran a circle around him until the guards showed up. And
Good dogs.
Very good dogs.
yeah,
They too were probably castrated.
but eventually, as the war is waning,
Sorry,
and
man. We don't want to do this. We know how rough it is. We'll just run around in circles.
as the South is losing, I mean, so I forgot to mention one of the reasons why Andersonville is so bad, and this is not U.S. Grant's fault, but is the South generally did not care for the prisoners as well as the North did. U.S. Grant eventually when he takes over, he says, we can't be trading prisoners. We're just helping them fight us. And so they stop trading prisoners, and that helps Andersonville grow as big as it does. But eventually he's moved to another prison, and then from there he is part of a trade with
I'm sorry, can you explain that again? Because you're saying Ulysses S. Grant
yes.
he's in a southern prison. Andersonville is a southern prison.
Yeah, but U.S. Grant says we are not trading southern prisoners for northern prisoners.
Because we're giving them healthy, non-dysentery laden,
Yes.
Yeah.
So we have
fed,
Yes.
hydrated people, and
sure.
we're getting back emaciated wretches.
Yeah,
Some without even balls.
we're prolonging the war, basically. Because Grant knows that the numbers, he's the first commander with a decent sense of tactics who also understands that numbers win the day.
And especially if those numbers have balls and food.
Yes.
Like, you play chess if you're fucking trading your pawns for the fucking,
Yeah.
horse and not queens.
Sure.
And so the unintended consequence is that they then just keep prisoners.
And in worse and worse conditions.
Exactly, right.
Yeah.
Wow. Fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good
Not
game move. It's a good game move, but with unintended consequences. but
Yeah. For sure.
You're trying to win the war, not.
So he's part of eventually he's part of a trade, and this is the description. It's so they take a boat to a boat, and then the prisoners walk from one deck to another. That's like the trade.
Does anybody fall on a bayonet? Or?
Yeah, well, so this is what the New York Times, I believe it was the New York Times, wrote as the description of it. A reporter watching this. These are the sons, brothers, husbands, and fathers of the North. Men reduced to living skeletons. Men almost naked. Shoeless men. Shirtless men. Hatless men.
Oh, no, that's not right. That's not right. Well, a lot of heat escapes through the head.
And directionless, too. They fucking,
I'm talking these guys had no hats. Bald guys, everything.
Ball-less guys.
It's a,
Bald, debald.
men whose skins are blackened by dirt and hang on their protruding bones loosely as bark on a tree. Men whose very presence is simply disgusting. Exhaling an odor so fetid that it almost stops the breath of those unaccustomed to.
The breath is hot.
Breath. What breath?
It's hot.
Imagine 25,000 of such wretched creatures penned together in a space barely large enough to hold them, and compare their condition with the most miserable condition that can be imagined. Remember, too, that these men thus returned are the best specimens of the suffering. Only those are forwarded to us whom the rebel medical authorities decided to be strong enough to bear the fatigue of transportation. And so he was part of that group who he had to be helped across from one ship. It was just this insanely mind-blowing, sad vision, a view of these guys just like being basically dragged back to their northern home. Wow. Crossing a boat. And he goes to the hospital, and he's just his entire body is just broken.
Yeah.
Not physically, not like literally broken. Malnutrition, this is from Martel. Malnutrition had eroded Corbett's muscles, and scurvy tightened the tendons in his right leg, making it nearly impossible for him to straighten it. He hobbled about in a crutch, suffering from the bloody flux, dysentery, and his gums bled. And so he basically is just a fucking heap. He was a living corpse at this
His
point.
flux capacitor was broken. That's what he said.
Yeah. And but he still manages to like drag himself to the church every day in the hospital. And
Having a job, man. Having a job for the human body and spirit.
Yeah, having a reason to get up.
It really fucking
Sure.
it does everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you there's like that thing where like first responder type people would be like, they smelled like dead.
Yeah.
And then that person comes back and they're like, well, there's no fucking way they smelled like dead.
Yeah.
And it's in my opinion,
I had to feed my dog.
It's really because
Stuff like that.
responsibility. I gotta show up and
I had to feed
I gotta open up CVS.
Yeah, no, it's sadly
It's true.
CVS, yeah.
It's true.
Just good thing there's all those drugs there.
A job and then churches.
Chicken?
A commitment. It's if you're fucking dyed in the wool.
That's his job.
Well, no,
Yeah.
it's if you don't go,
Right.
What the fuck?
It's his reason for
what are you doing?
being. Yeah.
How the fuck can you not go?
It's there. Why aren't you?
Yeah. And so he's in the hospital for a bit, but when he gets out, he rejoins the 16th, and he's promoted to sergeant. It's February 1865 around. And then, he's just with the regiment for a bit. And then April 14th, 1865, there's just a really exciting play put on at Ford's Theater.
Oh.
They never finished it for some reason.
What
but
happened?
I don't know.
I died in the third act.
Some guy in the front row was wearing. Some guy in the booth was wearing a big hat.
Yeah.
Get down.
Take your hat off,
Take
they
your-
said.
Please take a bow.
So anyway, John Wilkes Booth shoots Abraham Lincoln in the back of the head, and then
He survives and goes on to create a beautiful union.
and then as he flees,
SAG.
his boot,
John Wilkes Booth was an actor.
he was,
Yeah, on
He-
screen.
he was
Well,
part,
eventually,
he was part of the most famous acting family in the country at the time. He was known
he
throughout
was
the
like
country.
a fucking.
Baldwin.
Yeah, he was. Basically, the Booth family was like
Thank you.
the Baldwin family,
There you go.
digging in circles.
And Boston was the baldless.
And he was Daniel Baldwin.
It was Danny?
John Wilkes was.
No, he was.
Was he Billy?
Was he Alec?
No, he would have been the Alec.
You shitting?
Damn.
No, he was the best actor of the Booths.
But out of work.
Seriously?
Of the Booth kids, yeah.
Really that good?
I was going to say he was like an Alexis
famous.
Arquette.
He was famous for his time.
Dude, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a whole nother thing. Mark,
Oh, yeah, of course.
Not an
that's
Arquette.
that's a Patreon thing.
Not an Arquette.
So
Baldwin.
So Booth shoots
Bridges.
Lincoln, and as he tries to flee, his boot gets caught in the railing. And
Well, it's because if you have a foot that's tying you down, you gotta cut it off
That's
to get to heaven.
And there's a whole story of him setting up the escape and all these. He had so many other plans that never quite. It's pretty interesting.
JFK
Subscribe on
was,
Patreon.
Yeah.
JFK was shot in a Lincoln, and Lincoln was shot in a Ford theater.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So 10 days after the assassination, Corbett's lieutenant, this guy named Doherty, was asked to put together a small party of 25 men to hunt and capture Booth. Though there was never a specific order to capture or to kill. There was never
Find the motherfucker.
It was just find the guy.
And then whatever happens, happens.
And so Doherty asked for volunteers. Corbett was one of the first guys to volunteer. And there's also a $100,000 reward for finding Booth that would be split among the people who did it. And so eventually on a tip, this whole group, they find one of the guys who helped Booth and David Harold cross, a river to go south. And they find this guy, and he tells them that they're at the Garrett's farmhouse. And so the Doherty's group surrounds the farm. They advance. They knock on the door. They pull a gun on the kid, and they're like, "What the fuck's going on here? Tell me what's going on." So because eventually the Garretts themselves.
There's no actors here, sir.
Well, so what happened? No one knew. Eventually, the news spread that Lincoln had been shot, but the Garretts didn't know who Booth was until
or what he had done.
he was there a few days, and they were going, who is this guy? Why does he have a broken leg? Why is he fleeing? What's going on here? And
Why is he quoting Shakespeare? Why is he so pretty?
Yeah.
So the Garrett's father was like, this seems weird, and they moved him from the house back to a shed in the yard because they're like, you shouldn't be in the house.
And Lincoln was shot in a theater, and then, but also Oswald was found in a theater.
Uh-huh. Nice. Is that what you got?
I could keep going.
Nope.
One's on a penny, the other's on a 50 cent.
So the
And 50 Cent was shot like 12 times. Isn't that weird?
Unforgivable. Shameful. Humiliating. Abortive.
So Doherty's
Fine Irish lad.
Shannon.
so his group, his troops, they surround the farmhouse. They advance on the shack, and they say, "Hey guys, we know you're in there. Come on out. Let's just get this over with." They convince David Harold to leave. Booth will not leave the shed. Quote, with much defiant language. He probably swore at him or something.
Fuck that. This is my encore.
So Corbett, Boston Corbett, he goes,
Fie upon thee, thou wretched knave! You swine, slave of the state.
so Corbett goes to Doherty, goes, hey, I'll just go and take him myself. And if he shoots me, by the time he reloads, you guys can all take care of him.
That is amazing.
And,
really?
But Corbett doesn't know that Booth has a 7-shot repeater carbine. So no, it wouldn't have been. He would have been
He
able
thought
to
he
reload.
had a musket.
You thought he had just a revolver or something.
So 6.
Yeah.
Well,
Or no, maybe not a revolver. Maybe probably just a
bolt action
bolt,
rifle
yeah,
with
something.
maybe 4 or 5 shots.
Yeah,
At
who
the
knows?
most 6, really. At the most 6, but 7. Hey,
And so Doherty's like, no, that's stupid. Let's not do that.
that's ballless thinking, man.
And so instead, Doherty tells his men to light clumps of hay and slide the burning hay through the cracks in the shed.
Oh, so it's like Waco.
So they want to burn them out. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the way it goes down.
Yeah, I watched Bill Hicks, man. I know what's
Waco's a
up.
fucking mess, man.
Bill Hicks talk about it?
Waco?
No. Booth.
Oh no, I was talking about Waco.
Yeah.
I know how Waco goes down. I didn't know this is how it went down.
Yeah, and that led to like conspiracy shit about like, oh, maybe John Wilkes Booth didn't die and things. Like, yeah, he fucking did.
Maybe he was surrendering, but too bad he was white.
Well, so we'll get to that, right? So Corbett and these group of men, they surround the shed, and Corbett advances with them, and he can see the shed inside is starting to, all the hay is catching on fire, and Booth is like running. He can't put out the fire. He's got this broken leg, and he's all this fire, and he can't put it out. And his guys are advancing, and he's thinking about what to shoot. And so this is what Corbett says. While he was advancing toward the fire, he came very near to where I was standing, and I took aim on him with my revolver, keeping my eye on his movements. I could have shot him very easily when he was so near, but kept my fire reserved until I thought it was not safe to trust him anymore. So then Booth is wandering around, and Corbett has a view on him through the crack in the wall in the shed.
Corbett has a view on Booth through the crack. I don't got it.
And Corbett then says, I saw him in the act of stooping or springing, and concluded he was going to use his weapons. So Corbett takes his gun, aims, and fires. One shot. And he hits Booth almost in the exact same place that Booth hit Lincoln.
No
See,
way.
it is mystical.
And he would later say that, isn't it God's, isn't that interesting
Yeah.
from God?
Coincidence? Checkmate, atheist.
And so the bullet, this is Martel, Corbett's bullet hit Booth just below the left side of the skull, then traveled across the top of his neck and out onto the barn. And he severed, the bullet shatters the vertebrae, severs the spinal cord, and Booth is alive, paralyzed, and in insane amount of pain, right?
Yeah.
And so they drag him out of the barn.
Plus the shed's on fire.
Yeah, well, they drag him out of the shed. They put him on the porch, and Booth, paralyzed completely, tells them, he has them hold his hands up, and then they fall to the ground, and he goes, useless. And then one doctor shows up and says he's gonna live, and then like immediately another doctor's like, no, he's gonna die. And then 3 hours later he dies.
Yeah. But was he acting?
Yes.
Acting.
Thank you.
You fucking asshole. You got it right away. I wasn't dead. I was acting.
And so Doherty is then he turns to one of the Corbett turns to like Doherty and he goes, because no one knew who shot him at first, and Corbett says, I did. Here, look at my gun. And one of the guys with Doherty is like, yeah, he confirms that Corbett said, here, look at my gun.
Jesus fucking Christ. I can't believe the no-ball bastard. He fucking
My
scolded him.
fucking gun's got magic bullets, bro.
I got no balls, but dude, I got revolvers, bro.
So then while Booth is dying, Doherty tells Corbett to go find some breakfast for the men. So Corbett takes this moment, he goes out into a field and he prays and he asks God to tell him whether this was good or bad. He says he gets a feeling from God that says this was the right move. And then
good.
he goes and he gets breakfast and he brings it back.
What'd they have?
It doesn't say. And then eventually
Molasses and beans.
him and the regiment with the body in a shroud, they ride back with the body to DC. And now he's a celebrity. He's the man who shot Lincoln. And so all the newspapers immediately they interview him and they find him humble and modest. And he's called, he's
mild.
Because of his preaching, he was known as the glory to God man. He would do things when he was preaching. He always had like an ER to stuff, like which sounds like a Boston accent. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. He'd be like, we
Really?
gotta yeah. So while he
Do it. Do it.
Do it.
I can't remember the specific passages. You got lover and
For the Lord loved the world so
Lincoln,
much he gave his only begotten child.
Yes, yeah, kind of like that. But he would always say he would always yell glory to God, and so everybody called him the glory to God man. And so that's the thing
Praise to Allah.
that's the thing that caught on in the papers. But as the months went by, the newspapers got tired of like the right description, and he started becoming fiery, and then his bullet was guided by providence, and
Magic bullet. I told you the magic fucking
and he had
bullet. Dude.
disobeyed orders, but there was no order.
Sure.
And eventually these rumors would grow and grow and grow.
Well, the New York Post said that no ball bastard blast Booth.
Yeah, exactly.
Ball bearing bag blasts Booth in barn
With musket ball.
Booth blasted
So they have to
by ballless.
as much as they love building up the celebrity, they have to tear him down. So
Yeah.
he's due to be torn apart
Yeah, and then
because they're bored of his holy roller bullshit too.
Godlike.
and so eventually these rumors would keep getting weirder and weirder until eventually the rumor was that Booth wasn't killed and he was still alive and Corbett was a liar. And then people in the South they found his address and would write threatening letters to him saying that they were going to kill him. And so for the rest of his life, he would sleep with a revolver under his pillow.
He only made reservations at tables.
But everywhere he went after this, people would ask him to tell the tale, and he would say, okay, yeah, here's what happened. I did this.
Man, show us your balls.
And if anybody said you didn't kill him, he would pull a gun on him.
Really?
Yeah.
Not the ballless bag.
No, he would pull. It's like it's happening now with like Trump, retweeting that SEAL Team 6 didn't kill him.
Amazing, yeah.
And even the SEAL Team guy who was a Trump supporter is like, this isn't. What are you talking about?
Or it's like, when the people show up, they go to Buzz Aldrin, like, you didn't land on the moon.
Yeah, and then he
punches them in the face.
Is that true?
Yes.
Oh, it's on video.
It's fucking awesome.
Fuck you.
Because you can imagine the guys saying that are not guys who could take a punch.
No. Nor land on the moon.
Couldn't land a punch.
Nor have the physical regimen to complete an astronaut's journey.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Land a rover. You couldn't land a punch.
Some guy in a shrimp barn is telling you, like, you didn't land on the moon. Boom!
Yeah.
Motherfucker.
Jesus. And so anyway, so even after
Eagles landed.
so even after he shoots Booth and kills Booth, he's still in the army. And so he's still, he's not released yet, and so until August of that year, he's still in the army. His health is constantly going from okay to terrible. And he's just constantly in and out of the hospital.
Constantly going from okay to terrible.
Yes.
Constantly.
Yeah.
I really like that.
That's really good.
Okay, terrible.
It was never.
Oh, I'm okay right now.
Oh,
Wait.
not this again.
Oh, shit.
Pretty much.
Oh, no.
Does it ever go from terrible to okay?
It sucks real bad.
That's intermittent.
For almost a year after he got out of Andersonville, his shoulders were scarred from sleeping in the sun.
Oh, like sunboyne?
Yeah.
Fucking asshole.
And his James Brown. James Brown, his old employer, wrote that he was emaciated, pale and weak, very much broken in health. His skin was yellow and of a smoked appearance.
Yeah. See, now here's the thing: is that self-preservation on a survival level in a place like Andersonville, you would go like, I will fucking act like I'm down with any kind of bullshit that gets me shelter and makes the sun not ruin my body.
You could cover yourself in mud.
Yeah,
You should have.
but also, let's be real. The whole thing is the fetishization of pain
For him?
for him.
Do you think?
Yeah.
For him.
Interesting.
No, I get what you're saying.
Yes.
Do you think that? I think it's a wonderful theory, and I think it's not unreasonable. Do you think that he purposely allowed himself to deteriorate?
Suffering. Yes.
I'm asking Matt.
No. He
No,
cut his balls out, Aaron.
Well, I get it, but
Aaron?
that was to alleviate his suffering.
True.
Yeah.
But I'm not disagreeing
Because-
with your
because-
theory, John. I think you have a wonderful theory that makes a lot of sense for this
Yeah.
gentleman.
'Cause-
I'm wondering, the guy who's read the fucking book, if you think that
Coming feels bad, and you don't like balls.
No, I love
both of those things are wrong.
And all tunnels.
Coming feels good, and I
all
love
tunnels
balls.
go straight back to the beginning. You
Dude,
fucking
you don't know
asshole.
shit.
Have you
about
not seen
fucking-
the series Dark?
Oh, is it
No,
figure eight? It's a,
I've not.
Yeah.
Amazing series. You have to
It's a
watch.
Deutsches series.
Yeah.
It's a Beste.
Yeah, it's
It's
amazing.
Deutsches TV.
Yeah, it's an
Continue, please.
So, does what John is saying? Do you think that it applies here?
So I don't think he brought it on.
You don't think
because-
he purposely sunburned his shoulders?
No, but I think
But he probably, after the fact...
unlike most of the people there, he said this is a test, or he didn't look for it. He didn't search for it, but he took it in a way that said,
I think everything is a day-to-day conversation with God, and when circumstances suck, a lot of times you go like, oh, well, this must be a test.
yes, exactly.
Of course.
Yeah.
And so then you don't protect yourself enough,
Right.
and then you have horribly
he
blistered fucking shoulders.
He wasn't proactive because he believed in it, but it doesn't mean that he sought it out.
It's just no, but you
He just accepted it without trying to
it's
fix
a way to reason with his reality.
you seek it out by virtue of thinking that it is an ongoing conversation of
Well,
like,
so-
can
so-
Not
I
necessarily.
can I take the pain on
I think
my shoulders?
I think it's a post hoc thing. It's not, the reason for it, but it is a way for him to reason it after. So it is. Oh, I've got these wounds, these scars I have. These are the marks of my tribulation.
How many wounds does Christ have? There's a crown of thorns.
I don't know, 4.
You have the spear. You have the crucifixion.
4, 5, 6.
Well, we just counted 6 right there.
Well, how many? 0 didn't exist.
It didn't exist.
No. So I think perhaps the best. My feeling of the best way to describe it is that he was not proactive about fixing the problem.
Yes.
He didn't, but it's not that he sought it out. It's just that when it happened,
That's a way to justify its existence.
God will it, God take it away, right? It's the thing of like, if he wants me to get better from it, he will do it. Yes. And I think that's true. But also I think people that are in that level of devotion to the Lord will seek out challenges that they know they might not be able to.
if God wanted me to have a tent, I would have a tent.
If God didn't want me to have balls, he wouldn't have given them to me.
Right.
Yes, but also God would will you with a brain to create the most basic level of shelter to survive.
Right.
the
Well,
goddamn sun.
it's very. There's that the I guess it's a parable. I still don't know what a parable is, but the story about God say like someone's like
Drowning in a river, and then a guy in a boat comes, and a guy in a helicopter comes, and he goes, "No, God's gonna save me. God's gonna save me." And they die, and they drown, they go to heaven, and they go, "Oh God, I'm here and I'm dead. What happened?" He goes, "Well, I sent you a boat, and I sent you a helicopter and a raft."
Yeah,
it's one of those things.
yeah, very, very much.
But no,
so.
I totally see what you're saying. I don't think there's any way for us to know how he dealt with it, but I'm sure after he got the sunburn and the scars, he certainly saw it as a sign of pride.
Yeah.
Reasoned with it.
I find that believable. Absolutely.
Yeah, tests of devotion are not necessarily bad,
Oh no,
but they are often unnecessary.
sure.
That's all I'm saying.
Right. So, eventually he returns to New York and normal service, which is hat making and preaching.
Piss drinking, mercury huffing.
Yes. And he goes through this whole long battle to get his reward for Booth. And it's one of these really stupid things where the soldiers and the commanders had to get politicians to fight for them. And originally he was supposed to get like $2,000, but then one of the guys, I don't think it was Doherty, someone else got a politician to rework it so that way the guy Doherty was in charge of the group and he was supposed to get like 15,000, but then some other guy who was below him, I think Corrigan, I can't remember, Billy Corrigan, he
was smashing pumpkins.
Yeah. Smiling.
Well, the world is
Smiling politely is very nice.
But then, so he gets another politician to rewrite that, and so that way, originally Corbett was supposed to get $2,000, and then through this whole rewriting of stuff, or even Doherty, the guy who led the thing, doesn't make as much as the second guy in charge. Eventually, Corbett is given $1,600, about $26,000 today.
Well, the world is a vampire, man.
Yeah,
And
send the drain. And so with his $26,000, he moves to Camden, New Jersey, which is obviously not a good idea, but
For anybody.
no. And so he eventually, this is like his peak of his proselytizing, and he has his own flock for a bit. And he makes a $7
of humans.
Yeah, and he makes a $7 hat according to the records.
Cost him $8 to make,
Yeah, exactly.
but he loved it because of suffering.
But eventually, he loses the flock or something, so he leaves New Jersey. This Chicago newspaper publishes this screed about him and how it's actually this is
Ballless Booth Buster botches
I'm gonna save the
bargain bowler business.
in order to keep this short. I'm not gonna read all of it.
That's good.
But I'm just gonna read.
That's good. Fuck you guys.
Sorry, I wasn't
Wait,
listening.
say it again?
Ballless Booth Buster botches budget bowler business. Dude, that's
Like hats,
fucking
bowler
good.
hats. That's very good.
And because of the alliteration?
Jesus Christ.
Dude, go take a tunnel to fucking China. I'm sure you'll fucking find it, dude. You end up back in Chinatown, you fucking blind bastard.
You got him laughing like Ray Liotta.
Oh, in Goodfellas? This one? At the fucking club.
Tommy, get the fuck out of here because that's really good.
Yeah.
That's really...
So I'm gonna save the
You know
rest.
what I like? I like to make him Ray Liotta and killing him softly. Getting his ass beat and puking his teeth out.
All right, no more deep cuts.
And Field
That's
of
enough for
Dreams.
Oh, come on.
I'm just gonna read the beginning of this this screed because
catch?
the time. So this is just the beginning. Boston Corbett, they misspelled this name when they wrote it. Boston Corbett, the skulking blood thief who I won't even read that. I don't even finish that sentence.
Wait.
Skulking blood thief?
Yes. Who for a reward shot to death John Wilkes Booth has turned preacher. And it's like he's been preaching this whole time.
What the fuck is a blood thief?
I don't know.
A murderer. Dude, what the fuck is a skulking blood thief?
Like a
The
vampire.
unbald breaker of booths.
Well, they to be fair, they do later say wandering Jew of radicalism. So you can imagine.
Oh, they call him the wandering Jew of
You
radicalism.
can imagine the bent of this.
The guy that's sun bleaching himself for Christ.
Yeah.
In Andersonville.
Yeah.
And he's like, they're calling me a Jew. I don't understand.
I guess it's Christ-like.
Dude.
Ballless booth buster botches budget bowler business. I mean, guys, come on. Yeah, I know you're all listening at home, watching on YouTube. Can you make some comments on how fucking great that is? Fuck these guys. And
Well,
also, can you tell them how easy it is to get lost underground?
Yeah, and also, can you tell?
You know what?
Can you tell? Can you
People
tell?
go to the catacombs in France, which
Yeah.
are dug and lit,
Yeah.
and they never come out.
Doug and who's lit?
The band.
Doug. Aaron, it took
The band Lit.
one of our YouTube
Remember the
subscribers
band
to
Lit?
tell you that it was genius of me to say doctors hate this geyser.
So that has nothing to do with this. But
I am sure that the YouTube.
listen, man, you know, I've come
YouTube
around on the 400-yard archer shit. I've
Yeah.
come around, all right?
Have you?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, that's
Because it's
they can see 400 yards.
the arrows can go that far.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched Game of Thrones, man. I saw
And
it.
so it was
I seen it.
Le Fin du Monde, now it's Delirium Tremens, and now you get it. Cool.
Maybe you'll one day wise up and get a taste. It's a Batman Begins reference. You guys get it.
Yeah.
I'm not a rat. Despite all my rage, I'm still just a rat in a cage.
So I just want to stop for a second.
Okay.
Stop.
It is.
Collaborate.
You good to go for a real conversation?
About tunnels?
Are you? No.
I'm tunnel vision, man. I'm sorry.
What do you want to talk about? Can I talk? Yeah, I think I can. Fucking asshole. In these situations, I mean, it is preposterous
Wait, what?
that an actor kills the president.
Yeah, it's not
The guy that kills him is some ballless, hollow sack
Preacher.
preacher.
Yeah.
So like, it's
gotta be weird with that
it's
hollow
things like,
sack.
you know, when you do fucking profiles in eccentricity, it's like, oh, well, these are these fucking weirdos, and you go like, in those situations, in those wartime situations, those guys always make their way to the forefront. The weirdest fucking psychos. It's almost a thing where, like, you know, in Saving Private Ryan, Barry Pepper, where you go like, I'm gonna stick with him because
Yeah.
I feel like I'll survive.
Sure.
Because he's the fucking craziest guy here. Isn't that bizarre? Where you go like,
Extraordinary. These are extraordinary situations.
yeah, call for extraordinary measures.
Measures.
And that is extraordinary people.
Yes.
And so you're like, I can't believe I am following a guy to burn John Wilkes Booth out of the shed
Yeah.
who has a hollow bag.
That's where I kept the matches.
You know what I mean? It's like, don't worry, I'll get him.
Can I have some of this hay to stuff
Yeah.
in my sack?
We'll burn him good.
It just made me think like a Wizard of Oz character.
Yeah, I'm
It's
just
like,
gonna take
I
a
don't
little
have
bit of
any
this.
balls.
Don't worry, he's only a thespian. He's not a soldier like me. What?
I'm just, y'all done burning this hay? I just might.
What? And also,
Do you think the wizard could give me some balls?
dude, it's just like these guys that come to the forefront in these situations, they're always kind of bananas. And maybe they're only kind of bananas because we find out about them because they're famous.
It's who they write
Sure,
about.
Right.
Certainly, it's some of that.
But a lot of times it's like they come through extremely
Yes, because you know,
unorthodox circumstances.
normal, reasonable people don't if they get into those situations, they end up, they're the guy who makes the tent for themselves.
and also
Right,
yeah,
right.
and the guys that
And the guy who's,
the guy that's assured he's gonna win also is usually kind of crazy. And that's the guy that you follow because he's extremely like determined to be like, oh yeah, we are gonna fucking make it, no doubt about it.
Any sort of extraordinary performance, whether it's life or music or art, like normal people don't do dope shit.
Yeah,
Sure, yeah.
You got to be eccentric,
but also
for us to profile you.
But it is a thing where you have that thing on the line where if you're Lincoln, you go like, all right, well, fucking, is this guy a general or a criminal? And the line is very thin.
Yeah.
On all sides.
Yeah. It's really, sometimes it's both, and it just depends on how bad you need them. It's like, well, you are a criminal, but right now you're not.
This guy is busted down to a private.
He doesn't even have any.
So he's busted up to a private.
That's right.
Pretty much.
He's in a fucking bus. No, he's not.
It's diabolical.
It's truly diabolical.
You would never fucking think. First stop.
You think it's crazy that an actor shot the president? Wait till you hear about the guy that killed him.
He's got no balls.
Yeah.
What?
No, but he has all
here's-
the balls.
And then
all the balls.
Then he shot the guy in the same place he shot the president.
Yeah.
Poetic. Theatrical.
Different.
Good. John, can you just press on my face on that thing?
Oh, press his fucking... Oh, what? This one's got on Siri, too.
But your face looks weird, though.
This one has Siri turned on.
Oh, that's okay. Don't.
I didn't. Did I fuck up?
No, you didn't fuck anything up.
No, we're great. We're great.
Does it look good?
You pressed my face?
I pressed your face big time.
Okay, great. Okay, so
Press my love.
So anyways, so 1873, the economy is collapsing in the United States. Corbett moves to Cleveland, then he moves back, and then in 1878, because
Back to
New York and New Jersey, and then on advice of a friend, he homesteads near Concordia, Kansas, traveling as he does always with two guns with him because he's afraid about being killed.
They were their surrogate balls.
That's
yes,
right.
I hadn't thought of that, but that's exactly it.
That's exactly what happened.
And during this time, he's just
loaded.
traveling, and he goes to a veterans like meetup.
VFW.
Kind of, yeah. And a few guys are like, Booth isn't dead. You didn't kill him. And so he pulls a gun on him and he's like, I fucking killed him and he's dead.
You can meet him.
Yeah. And then basically that.
Ask him yourself.
But he decides that he's going to walk to Kansas, and he gets about like 13, 14 miles in, and he's like, this is a terrible idea. So he walks into a newspaper. What is it? Do I have the newspaper? He walks into basically a newspaper, and he says, hey, I'm trying to get to Kansas. I don't have any money. I'm the guy who killed Booth. And they go, oh, you're Boston Corbett. And they put a thing in the paper saying, hey, everybody, Boston Corbett's trying to get to Kansas. Can we get him to Kansas? A bunch of money comes in. The train goes, all right, you get a free ride to Kansas now. Makes his way to Kansas. And
he's not in Kansas anymore.
no. So he finds out the place that when he shows up, like it turns out like the place would have been homesteaded earlier, but it's really this one section is really unfarmable. And so when he gets there to homestead it, he discovers that too. But he also discovers that it has its own little small spring of water.
With or without maggots?
No maggots. And so instead of building his house so it faces to the rising sun, and so it gets sun all day, because in Kansas winters, you want a house in the sun.
Right.
He instead builds his house and he hires men to dig out a hill. And he builds his house in the dugout of the hill because right there is the spring. And I imagine that like the experience in Andersonville is like live next to the water.
Yeah, no matter what.
Yes.
The sun will be there. Water might run out.
Yes.
Also, dig straight.
And so he builds this. He hires these guys to dig it out and then build this stone house in the dugout. And then he has the stream lined, and like he builds over it with this like wood, and then the stream is lined, so he can always just like has this access to this water.
Good for him. That sounds idyllic.
It's a one-room stone house built in this hill.
One room.
Well, there's not a lot going on in that room. And I'm going to show you.
His offspring are minimal.
Yeah, you would say that. Here's a pic.
He's on the spring.
Here's this from the Kansas Historical Society. Here's a drawing of his house.
A drawing.
Dug into the hill.
Oh, this is like a Hobbit shit.
Yeah, no, it's exactly that. A dugout.
This is like a Hobbit shit.
Dude, this guy's straight up in the fucking Shire.
Can you do more forensic?
John, tell me more about digging.
Yeah, you got to go everywhere, but straight back.
You don't
Fucking
go
jackass.
straight back. It's a loop-de-loop.
Loop.
You fucking Fruit Loop.
You could end up anywhere, the center of the goddamn earth, before straight back where you started. You fucking dumb fuck.
Oh, yeah? Oh,
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
yeah.
We got to have a whole digging competition.
Yeah, he's digging himself in a hole right now.
No, this is some kind of a hillside cottage.
Almost like a Hobbit situation.
And I understand it's in Kansas with hills.
Don't exist.
It's flat as a motherfucker.
Yeah.
But okay.
Yeah.
No,
so
there's
that's
not,
What do you want it back?
Yes, please.
That
For what?
Hobbit shit.
So,
No, John's like, words on there?
Trying to figure these things out.
What are these hieroglyphics? I gotta take mushrooms to understand them.
So from there, he uses this as a base, kind of to ride
You're
around.
talking a lot of baseball shit.
Ride around.
Dugout.
Ride around and
Base.
preach.
Bats. Bat?
So he would use his fame to people would ask him to come to their place and preach, and as one person said,
Pitch them new ideas.
yeah, well, his preaching was not exactly friendly for the church, and this is from one of the merchants.
Oh, nice.
He was a firm believer in a, quote, hell and eternal burning for the wicked.
What?
And in his discourse, he would bring the flames quite vividly before the mind's eye. He was very fearless in denunciation of evil and crime of all kinds, and he was not afraid of hurting anyone's feelings by plain truth. And so often churchgoers would be like, you got to get this guy out of here.
It's too real, man.
It's too much.
Really?
Yeah. But also at the same time, in his local community, it seemed much loved. There are letters of people saying, hey, my grandmother is sick. You got to get over here now, so pray. And so there were plenty of people, not everybody was against fire and brimstone. And so he was, he did have.
Well, I mean, fire and brimstone, people are like, they only fire and brimstone when they're like preaching at people.
Right.
But when it comes to like, hey,
small
come
moment.
pray for my grandmother.
Yeah.
You don't need to talk about hell.
No, you don't. In that moment,
Because she's about to go there.
Yes, exactly.
Because she fucked all those dudes. The grandma. And she's going to hell. And you got to pray for her because she's so nasty. She's so gross.
It's not cool.
But so he's not making a lot of money from his farm. And so he applies for a pension from the army, and because of his disabilities, he should get more money. And so he has to actually, in order to prove his disabilities, he has to meet with a doctor.
Oh.
And this is what the doctor wrote.
Prove to me.
Of him.
John Wilkes Booth proved he was useless.
Chronic diarrhea, even at this point, scurvy is affecting the ankles and contracting cords under the knees. Also affects gums and teeth. Chronic diarrhea, great deal of pain in pelvis. They misspelled that. They wrote pelvis. Pelvis pain passing up to the spine to his brain at times. Generally worse in hot weather. Also causes misspelled. Dysentery. Conditions of lower bowels with bloody mucopurulent evacuation.
Oh, that's gross. That means mucus and pus.
Suffers constantly with pain. His tongue is coated, breath foul, teeth all decaying by effects of scurvy. He's a perfect wreck of human suffering.
Wow.
Which he loves. If he had any nuts, he'd be coming.
Government insistence denied.
No. They gave him more money because it was proof of what happened.
He's on death's door.
And he couldn't do manual labor because of this, and so he got more money.
Wait, why?
Yeah, imagine. He can't fucking till without shitting.
I knew a guy named Manuel Labor.
Oh, Manuel?
I mean, he is like,
Manuel.
he's fertilizing the ground as he tills it. I guess it couldn't be that.
Oh, because of the chronic diarrhea.
Yeah. But also his
you sure they didn't misspell chronic gonorrhea?
his mental health around this point is also getting very, very bad. I mean, first off, it is like understandable because he was
Hatter
getting all
shit.
Well, the Hatter shit is yes, but
War.
but also all of these guys writing to him being like, "I'm going to kill you for killing John Wilkes Booth," you know. So there's a kid at the time who grew up in around him in Kansas and was fascinated by him because he lived nearby and he was like he always had guns with him and he always had guns. He looked in his house one time and he saw no one ever went into his house. He would always stop him at the door. But one of the kids when Corbett was gone, one of the kids looked in the window and there was just guns everywhere. There was guns above his bed, under his pillow. He was just constantly afraid that someone was going to... And so sometimes people, when he was riding, he got this pony named Billy, this little Billy the horse, he called it. He'd be riding Billy along the road, or Billy would be dragging him in, one of those wheeled, I forget what it's called, like...
Barrows.
No,
Wagon?
it's a wagon type thing. It's like a buck rake or something. I forget what it's called.
Rickshaw.
It's kind of a rickshaw. But anyway, like if he saw someone else approaching, he would get off of Billy and hide in the long grass and train his rifle on them until he knew that they were good or bad.
He had pitsid.
Yeah. And at one point, some neighbor kids run into his yard and he fires over. He was an excellent marksman and he fired over their head.
No shit.
And so it's like, obviously he wasn't trying to hurt them, but he fired over their head to be like, get off my lawn. And because of this, he gets dragged into court. And while he's in the court, he gets in an argument while he's on the stand. And on the stand, he pulls the gun out. And
You fucking motherfuckers, you suck my dick.
and he waves it at everybody. And the next day, the Concordia Blade newspaper, the headline was, quote, Boston Corbett crazy. Like that's the news of the day.
He's lost his mind. He's got no balls and no brain. It's all we can do to keep him just adhering to the general laws of society.
So there's word keeps spreading about him and his eccentricities and
that's it, folks.
and eventually and eventually the Christian Advocate, which is
The gay Christian magazine.
yeah.
Nice.
They write about him and they write
Hottest bachelor, bashful in.
They write that in Cloud County where he lives. They write,
Look at John.
Jesus Christ.
Ballless bachelors for the fucking new year.
Ballless bachelor bashes
It's
the bench.
because Aaron knows the Advocate is a gay magazine, so he's like,
Oh, right.
Christian Advocate.
Yeah, that's pretty
Christian
good. That's pretty. Yeah, I didn't pick up on that.
he dives right into it.
Head
And
first.
I know what he's doing.
Like
and
Pete
being a
Rose.
psycho.
Yeah, dude. Hell yeah, you do. Because you're fucking just
Because
like
I
me.
also know what you're talking about. Same dude, different dicks. Yours sucks, mine rules.
No, and Matt's drools.
Yours drools, mine rules.
No, mine.
Go ahead,
mine
Matt.
draws.
So the Christian Advocate writes that about the people in his county, they write, half the people want him arrested, the other half left alone. We have known Corbett for more than 20 years. All churches have members of the crank type. Corbett was the sort who think that everything which comes into their heads is inspired by God. They'll interrupt meetings, burst out unexpectedly in yells, make interlocutory remarks about another while another's leading in prayer, and go generally as if they were performers in a circus instead of being contented by taking their turn with an occasional old-fashioned Methodist shout marked by reverence, pathos, and unction, which does good and not harm. And so it was, they're kind of being like, this guy's your general crank, and fuck him. In essence, is my reading of that. And it's got to not feel good for him to be like, oh, the religious folks think I'm a fucking shit.
A whack job.
Yeah.
Jerk off.
I cut my balls off for this.
So then eventually, not long after this, his farm not doing well. He had a good year or two selling wool from his sheep, but there's nothing. You can't grow anything on his acres, and he's running out of money. So an old friend of his gets elected to the Kansas House of Representatives, and gets him a job as the ceremonial door opener. And at first, Corbett is very great, and everybody comes up and they want to hear the John Wilkes Booth story. And he's even
Booth Butcher, Boston, bellhop.
And so, even in the morning, he's he helps the black janitors like sweep, and it's like, oh yes, he doesn't. He's like, it's a very nice gesture and doesn't seem.
And this is just in Congress.
This is the Kansas House of Representatives.
Okay. And he will be opening doors.
Yeah, and he's just doing very basic stuff. But not long after he's there, he thinks that people are talking about him behind his back. He sees a guy with a Mason's pin,
emblem.
And he goes, Booth was in a secret society too.
Get the fuck out.
And then
fucking Lincoln was a Mason.
And he hears people laughing.
Was he?
I think for a long time, most presidents.
Oh, you think, huh? Yeah, bring more next time.
But so one day he hears people laughing, and because of the all of the mercury he thinks they're laughing about him. He pulls a gun on them.
It's mercurial.
And they're like, no, we weren't laughing about you. He puts the gun away.
I swear to God.
Starts sweeping again. And then, but eventually it's like the whole, this one day that keeps happening, and he keeps pulling guns on people.
Fucking motherfucker.
So at the end of the day, this like group of the group of police
shrinks.
They creep up on him and they tackle him, and they take him away to an insane asylum. As they do that, he turns to them and he says, "Well, you're a pretty gang."
Oh,
right.
And then they bring him to the Kansas State Insane Asylum.
Were they hot?
No, probably not. They're
weird.
They're really sweaty, I bet. And he's at the insane asylum. He's generally a good patient, but every now and then he tries to like kill an orderly or something. Other than that, he's really cool.
Really?
Yeah. And then one day, May 26, 1888, so the insane asylums, then the doctor would live, there with his family, just in the air, like on the spread there. And one day, May 26, 1888, a young boy arrives at the asylum to visit his friend, who is the son of the doctor who works at the asylum. And so the young boy takes his pony and he ties it up. And Corbett is out in the yard doing walking. And he sees the pony, and so he slowly fades his way out of the group he's with. And when he sees no one's looking, he runs over, unhitches the pony, rides it 120 miles south. It takes him about 5 days. Wow. He's usually at night, and he rides 5 days to Neodesha in Kansas, where an old friend of his is. And he stays there overnight, and he doesn't even sleep inside. He says, no, I'm going to sleep outside. He sleeps on a pilot.
That's a proven... tried, tested.
Yeah. Well,
I don't need no tent.
But this time he sleeps on a pile of cobs.
Oh.
Yeah, which might have been good for your back.
Cobs?
I assume so.
Cobwebs,
Yeah.
Either one. Nice.
What?
And then the next day he says, I'm heading to Mexico because Kansas, won't get me in Mexico. And he...
Tons of cobs down there.
He gets brought to the train station and he says his goodbyes. He gets on the train, and that is the last time he is ever heard of again. The real Boston Corbett. There is a fake guy who pretends to be him, but is not him.
He had balls.
But this is the last time the real Boston Corbett is ever heard of.
Wow. Just straight up disappearing act.
Yeah. Hell of a journey.
Pretty incredible. And then way to go.
So what do you think happened?
Well, he probably just went south and found work here and there, and then just died, and no one knew who he was, and that was it.
I'm not as extreme as I used to be.
Well, he would probably, you imagine with that sort of mental disability at that point that he would be fine and work a bit and make some money, and then at some point he would go crazy, and they'd be like, you got to leave, and then he would go somewhere else.
Where did you find this story? What made you like it?
I was listening to the Slate Political podcast, and it was not Washington Post, it was like Washingtonian something. Someone wrote about this book this year because it was an interesting story, and so I got the book because it's an interesting story. And
dubious.
Most of the classy folks don't.
Boston book bamboozles Rousseau.
Most of the classier like things they don't mention, the ball cutting.
Oh, well, that's not talked about.
Yeah. But no, it's just like if he doesn't kill Booth, he is forgotten forever in history.
Sure.
And his story is never told.
Yeah.
But he killed because he shoots Booth. His story is told, and then it turns out his story is both normal and incredibly remarkable.
Diabolically insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's the thing, too, though, where you go, like, again, is it because he's famous, or is it because more people lived in this insane way?
Yes.
Well,
I mean, it's like, the working on hats. What does that do to him? His wife dying. That drives him to drink, which then drives him to the church, which then drives him to cut his balls, which then...
but also, too, for the war leader, even if it's a totally corrupt war, right? If you are being like, all right, well, we got to fucking, take over this country or do whatever, the person that is the most reliable is the one that is devoted to ideology. And that is why, when people are like, oh, why the fuck are they so into the fucking goddamn Mujahideen and in Afghanistan, it's like, because the other guys are all fucking corrupt.
Well, and
that's the same thing in fucking Libya, everything. The one thing is like, when the fucking Islamists come to town and take over your town, they can't be bribed. Because they cut off your hands if you steal. Like, it's total religious devotion. So these kind of crazy people, these extreme people, actually do very well in these very extreme situations. Because that they're incorruptible.
Yeah, and he very much seemed like he was.
He was. He was so incorruptible that he would get fucking, like, busted down to a lower rank.
Yeah, just for
being as, fucking staid and, stoic and just a fucking... That's... his deal.
Yeah.
His deal is on its face. He is a maniac. He will not adapt.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's very Barry Pepper. It is. It is. I mean, what you said a lot, like halfway through, was it's Barry Pepper. The thing you go and be like, these are the people that don't get PTSD, right? Because they're already kind of insane.
Sure.
The people that are sane get PTSD.
Yeah.
The maniacs don't.
The clean cut kids,
because they see the mythological war happening in the skies already, and then when it comes to Earth, they go like, didn't I tell you? You fucking shitheads.
Yeah. There's no shock to the system about the brutality because there's an expectation of it.
Yeah. It's a fantastic profile, man. And I really liked it.
Yeah.
And I meant Aaron was spitting up a lot during it, but I liked it a lot.
I like the tunnel story.
You're still on that, huh? The big dig? You dumb fuck.
One day you'll learn, man. One day you'll cut off your balls and your mind will be unclouded.
Are you doing Dr. Bizarre on me?
One day you'll
come out of that closet and become a real woman.
I should say, if you're ever in Concordia, Kansas, in 1958, the Boy Scout Troop 31 built a roadside monument to Corbett.
And his balls.
And it's on the road where his house was, a key road. They put a sign to mark the hole that he lived in while he was there.
Wow. Oh, the little Saddam Hussein.
Yeah,
I hope the dogs don't get me.
Spider hole.
It's so good.
Yeah, we should talk about more on Patreon. I think it's just like an incredibly abnormal, normal life that just had one instance that made him, also helped him become more insane.
Yeah. Well, once you cut your balls off, man, it's...
No, I mean shooting
once you shoot the guy that shot the president.
Yeah.
It's an infamy thing.
Yeah.
The balls thing is just a part of his origin.
Oh, that's
story.
everyday life for everybody.
No, but it is honestly the least interesting thing about it.
Sure.
It's not the least interesting thing.
It's
fuck
not
you
the
talk-
most. It's not the most.
It's not the most.
Is it not?
No, shooting John Wilkes Booth is the most.
Do you not think it maybe started him on a trajectory of being a little bit of a fucking
It's certainly
curious character?
It is
that we might talk about on a profile?
Well, he was certainly a little bit.
It's a
bigger
foundation of
because
it. It's a foundation of the trajectory of his life.
It's the
of course.
cornerstone of any good profile. Is an empty ball bag.
Baron Ballbag. That's actually my name in the porno. Baron Ballbag.
Baron Ballbag.
Baron Von Ballbag.
Baron von Ballbag. Baron. All right.
Boasts of butchering Booth. Anyways,
Boasts of butchering Booth is quite nice.
I know.
I like that a lot.
I know, dude. Yeah.
You're not surprised?
No,
You're not surprised?
I'm not.
Not at all.
No,
Of course I'm great. Of course I did well.
that's right.
This is what.
Sometimes I consider myself my own gator.
You remember when I texted you guys earlier and I was like, this will be about 90 minutes.
How can you expect when the cornerstone of the story is
It's an empty ball bag.
deballification?
You know that we're gonna fuck with that all day.
Of course, but there's so much more.
90 minutes of ball.
I didn't expect tunnels to become a thing.
Dude,
Do you understand that?
do you understand tunnels,
Do
dude?
you understand
No,
that
save it for the Patreon.
once a ball bag is empty, I question every decision you make forever thereafter, and so does he, and so should you.
But not the tunnel stuff. I do get it.
All right, let's call it there. Matt, that was wonderful.
It's nice. It's nice.
If you want to hear more about this, subscribe to our Patreon. It is $5 a month, and you will get an extra episode per week. I'm going to say goodnight. My name is John Fahey.
I'm Aaron Pita.
So.
Good night, everybody. We love you.
Scarpins Avenue.